Chapter 28:19. Pfft. Cough, cough. Naipeo almost fainted from coughing after hearing the words. Didn't Dongfang Booby castrate himself? How come he has a great-grandson like you? Oh. It's normal. I'm from Dongfang Booby's cousin's branch. Dongfang Booby explained, his face red. In actuality, the current head of the house, Dongfang Chaochuan, didn't know if Dongfang Booby had anything to do with them or not, but the ancient Dongfang house was using this identity as a descendant of Dongfang Booby to scare people off. Oh, I thought you had the secret to making babies, Naipeo said, a little disinterested. That heaven and earth grand shift you're talking about, I've only seen it on TV. I don't practice heaven and earth grand shift. I don't care if you do or not, don't worry, I won't attack you first. I'll take care of your followers right now, and as long as I don't attack you, your heaven and earth grand shift won't work on me. Dongfang Booby was certain that Naipeo practiced heaven and earth grand shift. Oh, alright. How about I hit you first? Naipeo said without a change in expression. You hit me? Come on, as long as you can do anything to me. Dongfang Booby curled his lips, evidently not taking a sky class like Naipeo seriously at all. You're the one who told me to. Naipeo humphed coldly. Don't blame me for not reminding you. You're just a sky class early phase, so what if I let you hit me first? Dongfang Booby said. Dark Hell Demon Fist! Naipeo quickly channeled his practitioner's arts, and made a weird hand seal before punching out at Dongfang Booby's head. Dongfang Booby had been on guard the entire time, channeling his practitioner's arts, and using his chi to protect himself. He was also ready to dodge at any moment, and when he saw Naipeo's fist coming at him, he took 2 steps back, wanting to dodge. What he didn't expect was for Naipeo to stop already, and his fist stopped in midair. But just as Dongfang Bulu was wondering what Naipeo was doing, the chi on his fist didn't stop at all, it went straight into Dongfang Bulu's mind. Ah! Dongfang Booby immediately roared. His eyes turned crimson, and his hands started waving around crazily. As if he was greatly stimulated, he suddenly knelt on the ground and used his hands to pull at his hair. Then, he suddenly jumped up and spun around on the spot. Young Master Dongfang, what's wrong with you? His follower was shocked by Dongfang Bushu's strange behavior. He asked in alarm. Dongfang Bulu didn't answer at all. He just shook off his follower, causing the follower to stumble and almost fall to the ground to his death. His follower was only an Earth class mid-phase. How could he withstand that? However, this follower had the heavy responsibility of accompanying Dongfang Bulu. If anything happened to Dongfang Bulu during the trial, then he would not have a good time when he returned to the Dongfang family. He was only an ordinary disciple of the Dongfang family. Plop! Dongfang Bulu actually knelt on the ground and started kowtowing. Other than Naipeo, everyone present was very surprised. Just what was going on with him? Dongfang Bulu kept kowtowing as he shouted some unknown incantation. All of a sudden, Dongfang Bulu turned around and ran out of the safe area, rushing outside. Who knew what he was going to do? The follower was startled and hurriedly ran after him. In the end, he saw Dongfang Bushing rushing towards a large spirit beast that was crawling on the ground. When the crawling spirit beast saw Dongfang Bulu rushing over, especially when it sensed his peak late-stage heaven rank strength, it immediately became vigilant. It looked at the approaching Dongfang Bulu and roared. Roar! However, Dongfang Bulu didn't seem to hear the spirit beast's roar as he rushed towards it. This situation shocked the people in the safe area. That was a huge spirit beast. Not even a sky-class late-phase peak full circle would be a match for it, let alone Dongfang Bulu. As expected, the follower watched as the spirit beast swung its tail and smacked Dongfang Bulu to the ground. How powerful was that crawling spirit beast? Dongfang Bulu twitched a little after being smacked to the ground, and his eyes rolled back as he went to the west to seek for scriptures. This scene was witnessed by the people in the safe place. Because it was a straight line, even if they were in the safe place, they could see it clearly through the entrance. This made the people in the safe place feel a chill down their spines. If one were to say that Master Yang killing Naipeo after hitting him was a weird thing, then what was happening right now was even more unbelievable. He didn't know what technique Naipeo used, but it was as if Dongfang Bushuo had gone insane, charging to the spirit beast's side and getting beaten to death. Dongfang Bushu's followers stared blankly at the scene in front of him, not knowing what to do. Dongfang Bushu was dead, and he didn't know what to do. At this moment, his mind was blank. He only thought of running away, or dying together with Dongfang Bushu. However, the followers' rationality and loyalty made him wait for the spiritual beast to leave before he carefully collected Dongfang Bushu's corpse. He then slowly walked towards the teleportation formation. If he had known this would happen, he would not have chosen to rest in a safe place with Dongfang Bushu. Even if he had to forcefully persuade him, he would have made Dongfang Bushu leave this place. But there was no medicine for regret in this world, and the follower couldn't do anything about it. Whether or not he could reach the teleportation circle safely with the body was another matter, but no matter what, he did his best. After collecting the body, he didn't even look back at the safe area, and didn't dare say anything to Naipeo. Naipeo was just too strong. After all, a sky-class late-phase peak had died in such a strange way. "You overestimate yourself," Naipeo said faintly. Naipeo said faintly as he turned to Mo Ba. "Mo Ba, give our friend from the Dark Palace a small recovery pill, he's injured as well." Chapter 28:20. Foam Shipian and Li Siba looked at each other, not saying anything. They knew that Naipeo was trying to win their hearts, but Foam Shipian wasn't the type of person to go back on his word. He wouldn't go over to Naipeo's side right now. After Chi-Chi left, everyone was in a safe place. Naipeo wanted Foam Shipian to go over to his side, but he didn't threaten him. If he did, he wouldn't be able to hurt Lin Yi, and that would be pointless. He didn't need people like Foam Shipian anymore, he had a lot of them in the everyday sect, so why would he need people like Foam Shipian? He just wanted to hurt Lin Yi. In truth, Foam Shipian and Li Siba had missed a golden opportunity. Naipeo was extremely weak right now, and after using that dark demon fist, he'd used up all of his chi and stamina. He'd need some time to recuperate, and there was no way he could fight again. He was completely defenseless right now, and even a golden class could kill him in one hit. This was the biggest flaw of this ultimate technique. If there was no need, he would absolutely not use it. Of course, this was also a common flaw of some ancient heaven-defying martial skills. Otherwise, if a cultivator mastered this heaven-defying martial skill, then he could challenge many experts by himself. Then, the balance of the cultivation world would be lost. Right now, Naipeo's technique was completely based on the fact that he wasn't on the same level as everyone else. After killing Dongfang Bulu, it was a huge shock to the others, and no one dared to fight him. This gave him time to recover. If he hadn't been hit by young hero Yang, he wouldn't have been in such a sorry state. At least after using the Dark Demon Fist, he still had some stamina. He wouldn't have been killed by a Huang-class cultivator. At the very least, only a cultivator of the same level could kill him. However, because of young hero Yang's move, he had already wasted a lot of his true chi. Before he had fully recovered, Dongfang Bulia had come and caused the current situation. Naipeo's heart was beating like a drum, but he didn't show any fear in front of Chi-Chi. He was still as strong as ever, and Foam Shipian and Li Siba didn't dare do anything rash. Naipeo and Demon 8 would have been dead by now. But it wasn't their fault they didn't have a golden finger, they weren't like Lin Yi, who could tell if Naipeo's chi was full or not. It wasn't until Naipeo's chi had recovered enough for him to use the Dark Demon Fist again that a smile of relief appeared on Naipeo's face for a brief moment, in the CEO office of the Lu family's company in Beijing. Tianli was in the middle of correcting reports, and his smoking cravings kicked in. He reached for the box of cigarettes on the corner of the table, only to realize that the pack was empty. Secretary Zhang. Tianli pressed the call button for the secretary's office. "Bring me another pack of cigarettes." "President Liu, what brand do you use?" Secretary Zhang asked quickly. The one Mr. Lang gave me before, Tianli said. Ever since he smoked the special cigarettes Mr. Lang gave him, he'd lost interest in other types of cigarettes. They weren't satisfying at all. Only Mr. Lang's cigarettes were satisfying. President Liu, Mr. Lang's cigarettes are out. The one I gave you before was the last pack. Would you like to look for something else? Secretary Zhang asked. Out? Tianli paused, realizing that it was about time. He was a fast smoker, and Mr. Lang didn't give him a lot of cigarettes. It was normal for him to finish it quickly, but he wasn't satisfied with the rest. Bring me 2 packs then. All right, President Liu. After hanging up, Secretary Zhang quickly walked in from the secretary's office and gave Tianli a few packs of cigarettes, all different brands. Tianli quickly opened 1 pack and put it in his mouth. He lit it up and took 2 puffs. He couldn't help but frown. This isn't good to smoke, it's boring. President Liu, why don't I go out and look for cigarettes of Mr. Lang's brand for you? There's an imported cigarette store near the company. I'll see if there's any there. Secretary Zhang asked carefully. It's okay, you can't buy it. It's Mr. Lang's special cigarettes. I'll make a call myself. Tianli waved his hand and dialed Mr. Lang's number. Haha, Mr. Liu? Why are you calling me all of a sudden? Isn't our cooperation going well? Mr. Lang picked up quickly and asked passionately. Mr. Lang, that's not why I'm calling you. It's a private matter, Tianli said. It's about the cigarettes you gave me before. Do you have any more? I'm used to it, and I'm not used to other types of cigarettes. Can you give me 2 more? If not, I can buy them with money. We're partners. Why are you talking about money for such a small matter? Mr. Lang said nonchalantly. It's just a few cigarettes. Why would I need money? Thank you, Mr. Lang. Tianli was overjoyed. Then I'll ask my secretary Zhang to go get it from your hotel? There's no need, President Liu. I'll go there myself. However, it just so happens that I have something else to discuss with you. As for the cigarettes, logically speaking, it's not a problem for me to give you a few cartons, but… President Lang paused. Mr. Lang, is there a problem? Tianli's heart skipped a beat as he asked. It's not a problem. It's just that there's only 1 carton left, and that's all I have. I'm here to talk business with you, and this is all I brought, Mr. Lang said. Just 1. Tianli thought to himself. How was 1 enough for him? He could only smoke half a cigarette a day, and this would be gone in 2 days, and this was under the condition that he was saving. Then, can't I ask your company to send some more over? Tianli asked. Tianli didn't know what to say, but he didn't know what to say. About that, let's talk about it after I get there. There are some things I wanted to talk to you about as well, Mr. Lang said. All right, I'll be waiting for you in my office, Tianli quickly said as soon as he heard that there was hope. If Tianli had X-ray vision, he'd be shocked. That Mr. Lang was always standing, like a slave beside a young man who was sitting in a boss chair. That young man was probably the boss behind the scenes. Chapter 28-21. This young man was none other than Jiang Wen, who had been depressed for a long time. He was held back by many people in East Ocean City. Now that he had a good opportunity, he came to Yanjing City and started his business of swindling people without any capital. Good job, Little Chunhu Big Scorpion didn't come this time, and you can handle things on your own now. Mr. Lang, you're really good at acting. Jiang Wen nodded in satisfaction. Haha, that's all thanks to Master Wen's help. Plus, without the help of the hypnotist, Lu Tianli wouldn't have gotten hooked so easily. At the very least, he'd be suspicious of the cigarettes, Mr. Lang, or Little Chunhu said respectfully. And go. Today is the first step of our plan, Jiang Wen said to Little Chunhu dash. Yes, Master Wen, Little Chunhu replied and went to Lu Tianli's company with Chui Mianshi. Jiang Wen, on the other hand, smiled coldly as he watched the 2 leave. Lin Yi wasn't in Donghai right now, and this was Yanjing. No matter how capable Lin Yi was, he wouldn't be able to guess that he was the mastermind behind this. Little Chunhu and Chui Mianshi came to Lu Tianli's company together, and Lu Tianli couldn't wait to welcome them in the company's guest room. Mr. Lang, Assistant Chui, welcome! Lu Tianli's craving for cigarettes had reached a point where he couldn't sit still anymore. He looked at the bag in Chui Mianshi's hand, wanting to ask, but feeling a little embarrassed. Mr. Lu, I'm sorry, this is the last carton of cigarettes left. I didn't think that this thing would be so popular. My old friends got one each, and we're pretty much done with it. You got quite a lot, and the others only got one. Little Chunhu shrugged helplessly. Mr. Lang, the last carton. Lu Tianli couldn't hold back his craving anymore. He had smoked cigarettes before, but he never got addicted to them. This time was different. He felt a little strange, but the craving was quickly pushed to the back of his mind. I brought it. Mr. Lang, let's talk about something first. Don't worry, I'll leave the cigarettes for you in the end. You're not in a hurry, are you? Xiaochun patted Tianli's shoulder with a smile. That? Okay, Tianli thought. Why wasn't he in a hurry? I'm about to die from anxiety. However, he couldn't say that. He was the CEO of the group. How could he say something like that? Wouldn't that be a joke? So even if Tianli wanted to smoke, he had to hold it in. He made an inviting gesture. Mr. Lang, Secretary Chui, please have a seat. I wonder what you guys are here to discuss with me this time? Chief Lu, I'm here to discuss a business deal with you, Xiao Chun said. Business? Tianli paused. Mr. Lang, didn't we just sign the contract? Didn't we already agree on the deal? Why do you want to discuss business again? Haha, the previous business of purchasing medicinal herbs was related to purchasing medicinal herbs. It has nothing to do with this. Xiao Chun waved her hand and said, Actually, this is a business opportunity that I have just discovered. It will be beneficial to you too, CEO Lu. Oh? Beneficial to me too? What kind of business is that? Tianli asked curiously. It's like this. I came here to sign a contract with your company, but I found another business opportunity at the same time. That is, our special cigarettes are very popular here. Many of my old friends have tried them and still want more. Mr. Lu, you have experienced it firsthand. How much do you think these cigarettes should be worth? Xiao Chun asked. Me? Tianli paused. As long as it's not ridiculously expensive, I can accept it. After all, with my current status, I can afford even the most expensive cigarettes. Isn't that it? Mr. Lu, if that's what you think, then don't all my rich friends think the same? If I import these cigarettes in bulk, they should be very popular in the rich circle, right? Xiao Chun said. It's not an exaggeration to say that the demand can't keep up with the supply. That's true. Mr. Lang, if you want to do this business, then I'm all for it. I will become one of your customers, Tianli said. Mr. Lu, I do want to do this business, that's right, but I want to work with you, Xiaochun said. As you know, my company has just signed an agreement with your company to purchase medicinal herbs. However, your company only paid a down payment. The full payment will only be made after we see the goods. However, my company has to pay a large amount of cash to purchase the medicinal herbs. Only after your company has settled the payment can we start to work again. In this way, my capital chain will be stretched. This is also the reason why I came to you. You should understand now, right? Lu Chun nodded and said, You know that my company has just signed an agreement with your company to purchase medicinal herbs. Oh? I understand, so that's how it is. Tianli nodded. What Mr. Lang said made sense. It was true that their company needed a large amount of cash to buy the herbs, but if they wanted to get their money back, they would have to settle the payment after the goods were delivered. That way, it was normal that they wouldn't have enough money to do other businesses. However, this was an industry he had never been in contact with before, and Tianli was the conservative type. He didn't have the spirit to expand, so he couldn't help but hesitate. Mr. Lu, this is a very promising business. Our Mr. Lang didn't look for anyone else but you. Actually, it's also because we're familiar with each other. Our two companies already have a cooperative relationship, and we trust each other even if we do anything else. Chui Mianshi spoke up suddenly. Oh? Tianli paused, and the hesitation in his eyes turned into decisiveness. But he didn't notice the change himself. Then how much profit is this cigarette business? 200%. Xiao Chun put up 2 fingers. Mr. Liu, if you invest 10 million, you'll get 20 million in return. That much? Tianli's eyes widened. He didn't expect money to come in so quickly. He was a little tempted, but he still asked. But importing tobacco would be troublesome, wouldn't it? The procedures and stuff like that would be very complicated. Even with my power, I don't think I can do it. Procedures for what? Xiao Chun waved her hand. How can there be such a huge profit if it's a legal import? Chapter 28-22. It's smuggling, Xiao Chun said disapprovingly. I have my own channels. Otherwise, how do you think we got in with such a low price, Mr. Liu? If we go through the legal channels, we'll lose a lot of money with the tariffs. How are we going to make money then? So it's smuggling. Tianli's face changed instantly, his heart wavering. He didn't want to get involved in Mr. Lang's business anymore. Mr. Liu, we're just saying it casually, and you're just listening. We can't go back on our word once we leave, Chui Mianshi said. What Mr. Lang means is that you only need to invest, and then you don't have to worry about anything else. The contract we'll sign will be our company borrowing from your company, and we'll pay you back with high interest. That way, whatever we do will have nothing to do with you, Mr. Liu. You don't have to worry about anything. That's true. Tianli didn't know why, but he felt much better after hearing Chui Mianshi's words. He nodded. All right, we can work together then. How much do I need to invest? 30 to 50 million is enough for the initial stage, not too much, Xiao Chun said. He was planning to cast a long line to catch a big fish, and naturally, he wouldn't use too much money to scare Tianli away. Although it would work with Chui Mianshi, it would make Lin Yi suspect that there was something wrong with it. It wouldn't look like a normal business scam then. Oh, it's not that much. Tianli nodded. All right, we'll sign the contract now, and I'll get the finance department to transfer the money to you. Straightforward. I knew Mr. Liu was a straightforward person, Xiao Chun said and turned to Chui Mianshi. Assistant Chui, take out the contract and let Mr. Liu have a look. Yes, Mr. Lang. Chui Mianshi took out the prepared contract from his briefcase and passed it to Tianli. Tianli didn't have much of a pioneering spirit, but he was still a careful businessman. He looked at the contract carefully, and after finding no problems, he signed his name and told his secretary Zhang to go through the financial process. Mr. Lang, can I have the cigarettes now? My addiction. Tianli couldn't hold it in anymore. Haha, of course. Lil Chui, give it to Mr. Liu, Xiao Chun said. All right, here you go, Mr. Liu. Chui Mianshi passed the cigarette to Tianli. Tianli, on the other hand, couldn't wait to open a pack of cigarettes and take one out, puffing out a cloud of smoke as he inhaled. Tianli's heart. Little Peach carefully knocked on the door of Heavenly Silkworm Transformation's room. These days, Heavenly Silkworm Transformation seemed to be in a bad mood. Except for the necessary tea and water, he didn't let Little Peach disturb him. Every day, besides reading books, he studied alchemy. He didn't care about anything else. Almost all the sex matters were reported to Heavenly Elixir Sect Master Tianji Xing. In the past, Heavenly Silkworm Transformation handled it for him. Please come in, the Heavenly Silkworm Transformation said. Young Sect Master, it's me, Little Peach. Little Peach pushed open the door and said, Young Sect Leader, there is something that the Sect's Patriarch Xianjin wants to tell you. He wants you to make a trip there. Tian. I'll be right there. When the Heavenly Silkworm Transformation heard that Xianjin Patriarch was looking for him, he immediately put down the book in his hand and strode out of the room towards Xianjin Patriarch's temporary residence. Little Peach patted her chest. She didn't know why, but she felt an indescribable pressure when facing the young sect master these past few days. It was as if the young sect master had distanced himself from her a lot, But it didn't seem like it, because the young sect master didn't really like anyone. Guess who I am? While Little Peach pondered the question, someone covered her eyes with a hand. Startled, Little Peach hurriedly reached out to push Kong Tiandao away and said, "Big brother Kong, stop messing around. Haha, Little Peach lil sis, you guessed it right away." Kong Ming Ming said with a smile. "What's wrong, Peach lil sis? You don't seem to be in a good mood?" "Kong bro, the young master doesn't seem to be in a good mood these days. He's distanced himself from me. Did I do something wrong?" Little Peach's status in the Heavenly Elixir sect was entirely because she was Tianli's maid. But without this identity, she was even worse than an ordinary disciple. How could she not be worried? "No. The young master is quite polite to me." Kong Ming Ming was surprised. "I feel that his attitude towards me is getting better and better." "Is that so?" Little Peach looked at Kong Ming Ming with a complicated expression. Could it be that the young master? Yeah. Kong Lao Ming nodded. "Little Peach sis, aren't you thinking too much?" "I think it must be because the Heavenly Elixir sex trial is not over yet. The young master is more worried about the results of this trial. He has been asking me if there are any trial takers who have returned successfully. He wants me to inform him as soon as possible." "I see." Little Peach thought about it and agreed. It seemed that Tianli had been paying special attention to the results of the Heavenly Elixir sex trial recently. It was understandable that he was in a bad mood. Thinking of this, Little Peach felt relieved. Tianli quickly arrived at Patriarch Xianjin's courtyard. He knocked on the door and heard Patriarch Xianjin's deep and kind voice. "Please come in." Tianli walked into the courtyard carefully and entered Patriarch Xianjin's room. He said respectfully, "Master, I'm here." "Tianli, you're here? Sit anywhere you like." Patriarch Xianjin pointed to a cushion not far away. "Yes, Master." Tianli's real name was Tianli. He didn't have any objections to Patriarch Xianjin's way of addressing him. He sat respectfully opposite Patriarch Xianjin. "Tianli, I heard that you haven't been in a good mood these few days." Patriarch Xianjin put down the book in his hand and looked at Tianli warmly. "Master, I feel that I can't do it. The young master's job is so tiring. I'm not made for this." Tianli lowered his head and didn't dare look Patriarch Xianjin in the eye. "I don't know when my sister will come back and if she can come back safely." Chapter 28-23. Master, Tian Bian was at a loss for words. He lowered his head and didn't know what to say. I don't want to do this, but I only like alchemy. I don't want to be the young head. I feel like it's a waste of time. Your sister, as a spy of the Five Elements sect, could have been the young head of the Heavenly Elixir sect for the rest of her life if she hadn't been used. But now that she's been used, it won't be long before she leaves. If you don't shoulder this responsibility, who will? Patriarch Xianjin said. You and your sister are rare geniuses in alchemy and martial arts. But look at your sister, not only is she strong, her alchemy skills are no less than yours. She's also good at handling sect affairs. And look at you. Master, don't say any more. I understand, I will work hard. Tian Bian's face turned red. He gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. He seemed to have made up his mind. Master, when my sister comes back, I will learn how to handle sect affairs from her. I won't let you and my sister down. That's right. Patriarch Xianjin nodded. All right, you're a smart person. There are many things you can understand with just a few words. I don't need to say more. You can go back now. Master, my sister, there's still no news. Tian Bian asked carefully. This is her master's order and also her responsibility. Although I don't want her to take the risk, I have no choice for the sect's future. Ancestor Xianjin stood up and said in a melancholic tone. He walked to Tian Bian's side and patted him on the shoulder. You are a man, you must learn to be strong. Even if your sister doesn't come back, don't be sad, because from now on, you are her. Yes. Tian Bian took a deep breath and nodded. 5 Fiends Mountain Range. Although Lin Yi's second stage of the art of dragon mastery had reached great completion, he still needed some time to recover his true qi. Spring Rain, fifth form! Lin Yi had just recovered enough true qi to activate Spring Rain from the heavens once, so he quickly activated the incantation for Spring Rain from the heavens. Tian Chan only felt that her whole body was warm, and her physical strength quickly recovered. She could even feel that Lin Yi was sweating profusely behind her. Although Tian Chan was anxious, there was nothing she could do. She could not help at all. The only thing she could do was to carefully hold onto the cliff and prevent the two people from falling down. Otherwise, all the previous efforts would be in vain. When Tian Chan's physical strength and true qi were replenished, she quickly jumped up and once again urged the 5 elements 8 trigrams palm, and then used both her hands and feet to hit the cliff. However, just as Tian Chan's palms were about to hit the precipitous cliff, Tian Chan's gaze suddenly froze and she cried out in surprise. This was because on the cliff where her right palm was about to hit, there was a protruding stone spike. This stone spike was exceptionally sharp. If this was just an ordinary stone spike, with Tian Chan's strength, she could easily smash it into pieces. However, the 5 Fiends mountain range was extremely hard. Even the 5 elements 8 trigrams palm couldn't do much to the precipitous cliff, only leaving a shallow mark. One could imagine how hard it was. Therefore, when Tian Chan saw the spike, she was shocked. However, it was too late for her to change direction. She could only bite the bullet and slap it. Pfft. Although the sound was not too loud, it made Tian Chan's heart tremble. She trembled in pain, and her right palm was pierced by the spike. At this moment, Tian Chan groaned in pain. It hurts. Lin Yi also saw the scene in front of him, and couldn't help but frown. He didn't expect to encounter such an unlucky thing. He quickly asked, Tian Chan, are you okay? How can I be okay? It hurts so much! Tian Chan cried. You're sitting behind me and enjoying the fruits of others' labor, but I'm suffering in front. I'm not really enjoying the fruits of others' labor. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. In any case, he was also quickly circulating the mantra to restore his physical strength. I don't care, you have to help me heal it. Otherwise, I'll fall down. Anyway, when I fall down, you'll be below. I'll crush you to death, Tian Chan said. I can heal it, but you have to first pull out your palm and give it to me. I can't touch your skin, so I can't transfer my physical strength and qi to heal you, Lin Yi said. Healing was different from the Spring Rain. The Spring Rain could transfer physical strength and qi without contact, but if healing couldn't be done, Lin Yi couldn't do anything. I can't. If I let go of one hand, I won't be able to hold the cliff. Both of us will fall down, Tian Chan said. Can't you just find a place to transfer your physical strength and qi? I can, but you have to pull out your hand. Otherwise, there's a thorn in the middle of your palm. How can I heal it? Even if your palm is healed, there's still a thorn in the middle. You'll still be injured if you pull it out, Lin Yi said. If that's the case, then can I pull out my hand and grab the thorn with my hand? Tian Chan asked. That's fine, Lin Yi said. That's fine. Tian Chan carefully endured the pain and pulled out her palm from the thorn. Even though she was a practitioner, the pain at the moment was unbearable. Previously, when she fought with the 5 Evils dragon, although she was injured more seriously, it didn't take long for her to faint. So, Tian Chan actually didn't suffer much pain. But now it was different. She could only endure it with a clear mind. But I don't have a place to start. Lin Yi looked around at Tian Chan's body. There was no place to touch her skin, and the two were tied together by the yellow silk, so Lin Yi's mobility was greatly limited. He wanted to touch Tian Chan's hand, but he couldn't quite reach it. He barely touched it. Lin Yi couldn't use the art of dragon mastery in this tense position, so Lin Yi was a little embarrassed. He didn't know what to do. No, you don't know how to find. Tian Chan was a little anxious. Hurry up, it hurts. I can't hold it anymore. If you don't heal me, I'll fall. Well, you force me. Lin Yi was a little helpless. He gritted his teeth and reached out his hands to Tian Chan's chest. This was the only place that wasn't covered by clothes, and it was the easiest place for Lin Yi to touch. Chapter 28-24. I'm healing you. I can't reach other parts, right? Lin Yi said with a bitter smile. So I'm offended. Anyway, I've touched it before. You won't suffer too much if I touch it alone. What kind of theory is this? You're the only one touching. Tian Chan was a little dumbfounded by Lin Yi, but thinking about it, her chest was probably the easiest part for Lin Yi to touch. With Lin Yi's current position, he could reach it with his hand. If she let Lin Yi touch other parts, it would really be a little difficult. Thinking of this, Tian Chan said helplessly, "Then hurry up. Don't take advantage of the opportunity, or I will let go of my hand, and we will fall to our deaths." "I won't fall to my death. I can heal myself," said Lin Yi. "Humph, healing will also make you suffer," said Tian Chan. "Then, I'll start." Lin Yi's hand touched a piece of softness. Although he knew that he was healing Tian Chan, his mind inevitably had some fantasies, and his body had a physiological reaction again. "Take care of your weapon, or I will kick it to pieces when I go up." Tian Chan's face was red from Lin Yi's touch, and she said with hatred, "I can't do anything about this. It shows that you are attractive," Lin Yi said with a bitter smile. "Our healing is more important." "Humph!" Tian Chan snorted. Lin Yi didn't dare to take advantage of Tian Chan too much. He activated the second level of the art of dragon mastery and began to quickly heal Tian Chan. Soon, the injury on Tian Chan's hand began to heal, and in the blink of an eye, it became white and tender skin. "Okay, I'm good. Let go of my hand." Tian Chan had an indescribable feeling from Lin Yi's touch. She didn't know whether it was comfortable or uncomfortable. In short, this feeling made Tian Chan a little crazy. "Oh, okay." Although Lin Yi was reluctant, he quickly withdrew his hand to avoid Tian Chan calling him a pervert. "Phew!" Tian Chan let out a long sigh. Thinking about what happened just now, she didn't know why she was able to endure it. Was she really immune to his touch? Tian Chan shook her head. She didn't want to think about these things. She kicked hard with her legs and jumped up again, climbing to a higher cliff. After that, Tian Chan was a lot more careful, but she didn't encounter the same situation as before. The two of them walked and stopped from time to time. Finally, they successfully climbed up the Five Fiends mountain range, which made them both heave a sigh of relief. "They're finally here." Tian Chan was a little emotional. In many cases, a peak late-stage heaven rank was an unreachable existence, but in some special places and situations, they were incomparably insignificant. For example, this time, if it wasn't for Lin Yi, she wouldn't have been able to climb up the Five Fiends mountain range. In the Five Fiends mountain range, she would either die or wait for others to rescue her. Hee, when men and women work together, it's not tiring. Lin Yi laughed. "You're so annoying. I'll kick you to death. I'm a peak late-stage heaven rank master. Now that we're up, do you believe that I won't kick you down again?" Tian Chan said angrily. "Do you believe that I won't hug you and roll down again? Anyway, the yellow silk between us is still there. It hasn't been untied yet," Lin Yi said. "Humph." Tian Chan reached out and started to untie the yellow silk. Lin Yi also cooperated and helped her untie the yellow silk. After getting rid of the yellow silk, Tian Chan unconsciously wanted to stretch and relax her body. After all, she was carrying a heavy weight on her back, which made her feel a little tired. Lin Yi just turned around and came in front of Tian Chan. He saw Tian Chan stretching. As a result, Tian Chan's beautiful figure was revealed. Without the yellow silk binding her chest, she stretched and jumped out of her clothes, which made Lin Yi stunned. "You! What are you looking at?" Tian Chan stretched and saw Lin Yi's drooling eyes. She was slightly stunned. "No, nothing." Lin Yi was shocked and quickly retracted his gaze. Even Lin Yi himself didn't understand why he would be like this to Tian Chan usually, It wasn't that he hadn't seen beautiful women. There were two at home, one next door, and one at the same desk at school. Linny always felt that his immunity and willpower were very strong, but in front of Tian-chan, these seemed to be non-existent. Linny didn't know why Tian-chan had an indescribable attraction to him. "Okay, you peep!" Tian-chan suddenly found where Linny's gaze was. She found that her chest was empty, and she didn't have time to rebind the yellow silk. "It's not peeping, right? I'm standing here. It's your own carelessness," Linny said with a bitter smile. "Besides, I've touched it and seen it. It's not a big deal. I don't want to hear it." Tian-chan made a gesture to kick Linny. "You quickly forget it. Don't mention it to anyone." "Oh, hee, I forgot." Linny smiled. "You are smiling so badly. It's obvious that you haven't forgotten." Tian-chan snorted and said. "I really forgot," said Linny seriously. "Well, you've eaten your fill. You don't want to admit it?" Tian-chan glared at Linny and said angrily. Linny really had a headache. There was an old saying that women and villains were difficult to deal with. Now Linny didn't know how to answer it. "You see, you haven't forgotten, right? Hee hee." Tian-chan looked at Linny proudly. "Are you testing me?" Linny was speechless. "Nothing is too deceitful in war." Tian-chan laughed hysterically. "When you laugh, I see it again," said Linny. "You." Tian-chan stopped laughing. She turned around and picked up the yellow silk. "You're not allowed to look at it." "Hee hee." Linny smiled. "What are you laughing at?" asked Tian-chan. "Can I laugh?" asked Linny. "Of course not. Wait until I'm done before you laugh," said Tian-chan. "Hee hee." Linny smiled again. You're still laughing? Believe it or not, I'll kick you now. I'd rather you see me." Tian-chan turned around angrily and was about to kick Linny. "Okay, stop fooling around. You quickly put on the yellow silk." "I won't look at it," said Linny. Tian-chan turned around with some depression. She put on the yellow silk and calmed down. She also felt that she went a bit too far with Linny. She wasn't like this in the past. She didn't know what happened today. I'm going to the teleportation array to go back. What about you? Let's go together." Tian-chan hesitated for a moment and said to Linny. Both of them came up. It was reasonable to say that they should separate. She didn't know why, but Tian-chan suddenly felt reluctant. Chapter 28-25. "Ah? You still want to stay here?" Tian-chan pursed her lips and didn't say anything more. She just said, "Then, let's part ways here. Be careful." "Okay, hee hee. Which sect are you from? Can you tell me?" Linny raised his head and looked at Tian-chan. Seeing her hesitation, he added, "Hee hee, don't misunderstand. Rogue cultivators like you and I will eventually need to find a sect to rely on. If I have nothing to do after I get out, I might also rely on your sect." Are you really planning to rely on an ancient sect?" Tian-chan was slightly stunned and then asked with some joy. "Of course, if I can't survive, I will definitely find an ancient sect to rely on," Linny said. "Heavens!" Tian-chan didn't know why she almost blurted out the 3 words Heavenly Elixir Sect. But after saying the word, she immediately regretted it. So, she quickly said, "Tian-chan is only temporarily staying in this sect. I may leave, so if you want to rely on an ancient sect, you can first spread the news in the ancient level. If I receive it, I will contact you." "Hee hee, that's good." Linny nodded. Since Tian-chan was unwilling to say, then Linny didn't ask anymore. "Then I will leave. See you again if fate allows it." "Wait!" Tian-chan suddenly called out to Linny. "En?" Linny was stunned and turned to look at Tian-chan. "This is for you," Tian-chan said, but she took a sachet from her waist and handed it to Linny. "What is this? A token of love?" Linny was stunned. Are you looking for a kick?" Tian-chan's face suddenly turned red, and she stared at Linny with her big eyes. I was just joking. Linny shrugged. This sachet can disguise your aura as a spirit beast. You can wear it to protect yourself, Tian-chan said. It can avoid being attacked by spirit beasts. Oh? Linny paused, thinking that this was some good stuff. But then he thought about it, a little confused. Then the dragon of 5 malefic from before, the 5 evils dragon, is a high-level spirit beast. This sachet can only deceive spirit beasts below the heaven rank. It won't have any effect on those above the heaven rank. However, this can only disguise your aura. If you are too close to the spirit beast or provoke it, it will see through you, Tian-chan explained. Then, what are you going to do? Linny was a little surprised. He didn't expect Tian-chan to give him such a thing. I will walk along the 5 Evils mountain range. The 5 Evils mountain range is the territory of the 5 Evils dragon. There are no other spirit beasts. As long as I don't provoke the 5 Evils dragon, I won't be in any danger, Tian-chan said. Besides, I am lending it to you. The next time you see me, you have to return it to me. All right, then I won't be polite. Linny listened to Tian-chan and no longer pretended to be polite. He nodded and accepted the sachet. And Tian-chan waved her hand at Linny. Then I will leave. See you later, see you later. Linny cupped his fists and strode down the 5 Evils mountain range. Although there was a strong feeling of reluctance in his heart, he didn't look back. He and Tian-chan were destined to be people of 2 different worlds. If Tian-chan was related to the 5 Elements sect, she would definitely be Ancestor Xuanchen's people. As for himself, he was Boss Bai's people. No matter how good their relationship was, it was inevitable that they would stand on the opposite side in the future. At that time, it would be very difficult for both of them. Therefore, it was better to take advantage of their shallow friendship and not cross paths. Skybolt Pig, do you think Tian-chan is a good person or a bad person? After going down the mountain, Linny asked Skybolt Pig. A good person. Skybolt Pig found a soft place and wrote these 3 words. Hee, you seem to be very close to her? Linny asked. Do you think she is pretty? You pervert. No, the aura on her body is similar to yours. Skybolt Pig shook his head and wrote. Similar to mine? Linny was slightly stunned, but he immediately understood. Tian-chan was also a cultivator of the 5 elements, and so was he. Then, it was understandable that Skybolt Pig said that their auras were similar. GG. Skybolt Pig nodded. Perhaps, it was really because he was very similar to Tian-chan that he had an indescribable good impression of her? Linny thought about it. Perhaps, this was the only explanation. After Linny went down the mountain, he followed the direction on the map and rushed towards the safe place. At first, he didn't encounter any spirit beasts, but as he went further, some spirit beasts gradually appeared in the wilderness. It was the same situation as what Linny encountered before. It seemed that the 5 Fiends Mountain was indeed a forbidden place for these spirit beasts. Only when he went further did he encounter some spirit beasts again. However, the sachet that Tian-chan gave to Linny was very useful. As Linny walked on the road, those spirit beasts saw Linny from afar, but they didn't have the intention to attack him. Although they saw some low-level spirit beasts, they were only yellow-level spirit beasts, which Skybolt Pig's strength could completely suppress, but these spirit beasts didn't have the intention to approach him. Skybolt Pig, do you think I look like a spirit beast now? Linny asked curiously. Oink oink. Skybolt Pig nodded, then shook his head. All right. Linny was just asking casually. Actually, Linny didn't really want to understand the theory behind it. There were many treasures in the world of cultivation that didn't have any theory behind it. After a day and night of trekking, Linny finally arrived at the safe place. Although Linny's speed was already very fast, the 5 Fiends Wildlands was just too big. No wonder the trial gave everyone 15 to 20 days of buffer time. As he neared the safe place, Linny frowned. This was because Linny sensed that there was more than one heaven-ranked master in this safe place. There were 3 of them, or rather, 4 of them. Because Li Siba was a physical practitioner, Lin Yi's golden finger couldn't sense his strength. However, Lin Yi could sense the heaven-ranked masters. There were 3 heaven-ranked spiritual masters in this safe place. Could it be that there were other heaven-ranked masters hiding here besides Feng Shipian and Li Siba? Lin Yi's footsteps were a little hesitant. Whether they were friend or foe, Lin Yi wasn't sure. If Feng Shipian and Li Siba were really in there, then it would be fine. But if it wasn't them, but another group of heaven-ranked masters, then Lin Yi wouldn't be a match for them. Chapter 28-26. Who are you? This is Zhang Naipeo's turf, and we're gunslingers' men. It's fine to rest here, but you have to hand over the elixir. Of course, if you don't have the elixir, then scram. What Lin Yi didn't expect was that just as he was hesitating, a voice came from the safe zone. But that was to be expected. After all, other than the safe zone, the other places were all empty plains. There was nowhere for Lin Yi to hide, and the people in the safe zone only needed to look outside to see where Lin Yi was. Zhang Naipeo? Lin Yi paused, not expecting Naipeo to take over this place. But since the people in the safe zone had found him, there was no need for him to hide anymore. Lin Yi started walking towards the safe zone. Boss, you're here! Chikuan, on the other hand, was very excited. He jumped up from the ground and jumped out of the entrance. Behind him was Feng Shipian, Li Siba, and Gu Xian. Bro Lin, you're here! Feng Shipian, Li Siba, and Gu Xian, on the other hand, were only acknowledging Lin Yi as their captain. They hadn't thought about making him their boss yet. Gu Xian, on the other hand, was still a step away, but Feng Shipian and Li Siba were the pride of their sects and houses. The two of them were quite amicable, but acknowledging a boss was a very important thing. They had to think it through, especially when it came to a freelancer like Lin Yi. Chikuan, Shipian, Siba, Gu Xian, you're all here! Lin Yi relaxed upon seeing them. It seemed like Naipeo didn't do anything to them. Lin Yi was worried that they'd be fighting Naipeo alone, but Lin Yi didn't see Yang Qiqi behind them. He frowned. Where's Qiqi? It's a long story, but Qiqi said she came here to look for treasure. Chikuan said as he told Lin Yi about how Qiqi was chased away by Naipeo, and how she went on a treasure hunt on her own. Lin Yi's breathing tightened when he heard that Qiqi went to Five Fiends Mountains. Five Fiends Mountains was a dangerous place, and Lin Yi knew very well how dangerous it was. Qiqi going there alone made him worried for her. How many days has it been? 2 days, Chikuan said. 2 days. Lin Yi sighed. Qiqi should have reached Five Fiends Mountains by now. Qiqi practiced Qigong, and her speed was very fast. Lin Yi had been gone for a day and a night, so Qiqi must have been there long ago. Plus, Lin Yi had been walking in a straight line, and Qiqi should have been walking in a straight line according to the map as well. The two should have met, and if they didn't, it meant that Qiqi used less than a day and a night to get to Five Fiends Mountains, so Lin Yi didn't see her. After all, the path Lin Yi took down wasn't the same as before. He'd been thrown out by the Five Fiends dragon for some distance, and this was where he'd brushed past Qiqi. Yeah. Chikuan nodded. That Five Fiends Mountains is marked as extremely dangerous on the map. I wonder how she's doing now. But we really couldn't fight Naipeo back then, sorry boss. It's fine, you guys weren't Naipeo's match anymore. It's normal that you didn't do anything. Lin Yi waved his hand, furious at Naipeo's actions. This was a shared area, and he'd taken it over and started robbing them. What was he thinking? You guys gave all your elixirs to Naipeo? We had no choice. Shipian smiled bitterly and told Lin Yi everything that happened after Lin Yi left. They were talking about how Naipeo threw a punch at Dongfang Butang, making him run out of the safe area like a madman, only to be killed by the spirit beast. Naipeo's voice came from behind them. All right, Lin Yi, you've caught up with your follower. Are you going into the safe area or not? I thought you wanted to be a coward and not show your face. Naipeo walked out of the safe area and said mockingly to Lin Yi, Zhang Naipeo, I heard that your technique is similar to Heaven and Earth Grand Shift? But it's not the same if I'm not wrong. Your technique can't reflect the opponent's attacks back at you like heaven and earth grand shift. Part of it is reflected, and the other part is taken by you, right? Lin Yi had heard Shipian talk about young Master Yang before, and combined it with what he saw in the restaurant. Lin Yi had a general idea of the characteristics of Nai Peo's technique. Haha, that's right, but Lin Yi, so what if you've guessed it? Nai Peo paused after seeing that Lin Yi had guessed the characteristics of his technique, but he didn't care at all. He started laughing loudly. Why don't you keep guessing? I can keep guessing, but the only thing I'm not sure about is that when young Master Yang and the Yellow Earth Tyrant hit you, a part of their strength must have been transferred to you, and the part that was reflected back was the other part. But now, it seems like that's not the case, because the other part of the strength wasn't enough to kill them. Lin Yi analyzed. Lin Yi, I have to admit that you're smarter than those reckless practitioners, but what's the use? Come bite me. Nai Peo looked at him provocatively. I'm not afraid to tell you that this technique of mine is called Thorn Arts. When you hit me, 20% of the damage will be absorbed by my body, and 80% will be reflected back by my practitioner's arts. But under the buff of my practitioner's arts, it's not 80%, but 3 times that. That's 240%. That's a total of 240%. That's why these idiots killed themselves after hitting me. Chapter 28-27. At this moment, in the trial ground, there were very few recover pills. It was impossible for these trial takers to have this kind of elixir with them, unless they were the direct disciples of alchemy sects like the Heavenly Elixir sect. It was impossible for other sects to have it. Nai Peo had revealed his trump card to Lin Yi, telling him that there was nothing he could do to him. He could only watch as Nai Peo bullied him and his follower, and let him die of frustration. Of course, killing Lin Yi was something Nai Peo didn't think about. He wanted to keep Lin Yi as a source of motivation for his training, and he wanted Pin Liang to be able to kill Lin Yi himself one day. Nai Peo only wanted to vent his frustrations in this test, and that was why he wanted to turn Lin Yi's lackeys against him. I see. Lin Yi understood. I've guessed that you might have imbued some of your own qi into the rebound, but I didn't expect it to be this powerful. Lin Yi, just give up. I'm not afraid to tell you that with your current strength, this 20% damage won't do much to me. Plus, I have a small recovery pill with me. You'll die before I die, Nai Peo said. But if you hand over the pill, I'll consider letting you go. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Oh? Is that so? Lin Yi smiled all of a sudden as he looked at Nai Peo, his confidence returning. Thanks for telling me so much, answering my questions. Now I'm going to attack. Are you ready? You know, and you're still going to hit me? Nai Peo paused as he looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. He couldn't understand why Lin Yi would attack him when he knew that he'd be rebounded. Why would he still attack him? How would I know if I don't try? Lin Yi said. You don't believe me? Nai Peo was a little puzzled. Lin Yi didn't seem like the type of arrogant person who didn't understand what was going on. There'd been so many precedents, so why was Lin Yi still so nonchalant? It's not that I don't believe it, but sometimes a miracle might happen. Lin Yi smiled and said, I'm going to make my move. Are you sure you want to stand here and let me hit you? Since you don't believe me, I can only let you try. However, let me give you a friendly reminder. You'd better not use your strongest move. Otherwise, you will die very quickly, Nai Peo said. It's fine if you die, but Liang Bro will be disappointed. He's planning on killing you himself. Zhong Ping Liang? Lin Yi chuckled. He has no chance. Do whatever you want. Nai Peo stood there, not moving an inch as he looked at Lin Yi, waiting for him to make his move. Raging Fire 8 trigrams palm, 7th style. Lin Yi started channeling the Fiery Fist's incantation before striking out with a palm towards Nai Peo's chest. Nai Peo didn't dodge at all. He just used his chest to block Lin Yi's palm, standing there, waiting for Lin Yi to fly away. Bang! Lin Yi's Fiery 8 trigrams palm landed on Nai Peo's chest. Boom! At the same time that Lin Yi's palm landed on Nai Peo's chest, Lin Yi felt a huge force bounce back from his palm, but that force disappeared without a trace the moment it touched Lin Yi's body, as if it had never been there in the first place. It was working! Lin Yi sighed in relief. It seemed like his prediction was correct. Just as Naipeo said, the force he bounced back was 240% of his strength, without any of Naipeo's chi in it. This chi belonged to the Earth class. This meant that he was wearing the mid-level cicada underwear, and the force was completely nullified by it. It seemed like Shu's words had come true once again. Prophet Shu really had foresight. Before he left, he put this mid-tier golden cicada underwear on him. He didn't expect it to have such a decisive effect. Knowing that the reflected force had no effect on him, Lin Yi let out a sigh of relief. A cold smile appeared on his face as he activated the Fiery 8 Trigrams Palm's 7th form. Fiery 8 Trigrams Palm's 7th form! 7th form! Lin Yi used the Fiery 8 Trigrams Palm's 7th form twice, a total of 3 times. Lin Yi's Fiery 8 Trigrams Palm was barely enough to take out a Sky Class early phase. Lin Yi had used this move to take out the Red Conch early phase Sky Class Master Zhuge, so Lin Yi didn't use the 8th form at all. The 8th form could only be used once, and Lin Yi would be exhausted after that. The 7th form, on the other hand, could be used 3 times in a row. This way, the attack on Naipeo would be 60% of the normal Fiery 8 Trigrams Palm's 7th form. Naipeo would definitely be heavily injured. As expected, Naipeo's eyes flashed with disbelief as he spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground, holding his chest with both hands, unable to speak. He didn't think that Lin Yi would use 3 techniques in a row, and from the looks of it, Lin Yi didn't seem to be affected at all. He himself was the one who was heavily injured. It wasn't fatal, but it was quite serious. This was Lin Yi's limit. Lin Yi sighed with regret, but he couldn't use any more techniques, not even the 6th form. Feng Shipi and Li Siba, you two work together to kill Naipeo. A killing intent flashed in Lin Yi's eyes. Naipeo was simply too strong, so strong that Lin Yi was wary of him. Back in the Ice Palace, the rules didn't allow him to kill, so he spared Naipeo's life. But in the Sky Elixir sex test, there were no rules like that. And so, Lin Yi decided to get rid of Naipeo, in case he went back and learned some weird arts. Lin Yi wouldn't be able to deal with him then. Feng Shipian and Li Siba paused. They were just about to cheer for Lin Yi, since Lin Yi didn't look like he was injured at all, yet he'd already beaten Naipeo up. As far as they were concerned, Lin Yi's next step was to kill Naipeo. Chapter 28. Brother Lin. You're... Feng Shipian looked at Lin Yi, confused. Lin Yi was just about to explain that he was exhausted and couldn't use any more skills, but when he looked up, he saw Mo Ba rushing over from the entrance. Lin Yi swallowed his words. Mo Ba's strength was not to be underestimated either. He was stronger than either Feng Shipian or Li Siba, and even if the two teamed up, they wouldn't have much of a chance of winning. Lin Yi was also afraid that Mo Ba would attack him, so Lin Yi didn't say anything else. Gunslinger, what's wrong? Mo Ba didn't have the time to think about Lin Yi's situation. All of his attention was on Naipeo, and seeing how heavily injured he was, he panicked. In actuality, it looked like Lin Yi had used his skills 3 times during the fight between Lin Yi and Naipeo, but it was all done in the blink of an eye. Naipeo was on the ground in the blink of an eye, and Mo Ba didn't even have time to react before the fight was over. Small recovery pill, Naipeo said to Mo Ba. Yes, gunslinger. Mo Ba quickly took out a pill and put it into Naipeo's mouth. Naipeo, on the other hand, closed his eyes and sat cross-legged on the ground, starting to digest the medicine. Lin Yi couldn't help but feel a sense of shame. With Mo Ba out, Feng Shipian and Li Siba wouldn't be able to kill Naipeo anymore, unless they put their lives on the line and let Gu Xian and Qikun attack Naipeo. But if they did that, they might have to sacrifice Feng Shipian or Li Siba. For a disciple like the Everyday sect, they would put their lives on the line. Once Mo Ba put his life on the line, his explosive power would be very strong. Plus, Lin Yi didn't have the chance to tell Zhao Qikun and the others what he was thinking. He didn't have the energy to play the sound trick anymore, and it wouldn't be able to fool a Sky Class mid-phase like Mo Ba. While Naipeo was healing himself, Lini wasn't idling around either, using the second stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery to recover the chi he'd used earlier. At that moment, Feng Shipian and Li Siba saw that Lini wasn't moving at all, his face a little pale as well. It was only then that they realized that Lini had probably used up all his chi after using 3 techniques. That was why they had to go kill Naipeo. They couldn't help but regret it. The opportunity was fleeting. Now that Devil 8 was here, it was impossible for them to make a move. Right now, Mo Ba was guarding Naipeo vigilantly, and Feng Shipian and Li Siba didn't have any experience in teamwork. It was practically impossible for them to stop Mo Ba before attacking Naipeo. And so, Feng Shipian and Li Siba followed Devil 8's example and stood in front of Lin Yi. Lin Yi was recovering his chi, and they were guarding Lin Yi. And so, a strange scene unfolded in front of the safe place. Both groups were guarding, but they didn't make a move. They just stared at each other, not saying a word. Skybolt Pig was hiding far away, watching for any spirit beasts nearby. Fortunately, in the half an hour that Lin Yi was recovering his chi, and Naipeo was healing himself, everything was fine. Lin Yi, you're wearing the mid-class golden cicada underwear. Naipeo sighed as he spoke to Lin Yi. In the half an hour that he was healing himself, Naipeo kept thinking about why Lin Yi was fine. It shouldn't be possible, after all. How could Lin Yi take 240% of the reflected damage? It wasn't very realistic. But after thinking about it for a long time, Naipeo finally came up with a possibility. Pingliang's mid-class golden cicada underwear had been worn by Lin Yi. Naipeo didn't know whether to laugh or cry at the thought. Lin Yi was an Earth class, and the chi that was reflected back was naturally Earth class. It was strong, but it was still an Earth class. The mid-class golden cicada underwear would be able to defend against it no matter what, and this underwear had been gifted to Lin Yi by Pin Liang. Naipeo's loss this time was quite unfair. Looks like you're not stupid after all. Lin Yi stopped using the second stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery after seeing that Naipeo had recovered. His chi wasn't fully recovered yet, but it was more or less recovered. I've forgotten about that, Naipeo said as he looked at Lin Yi. He'd just recovered from his injuries, and wasn't fully healed yet. If Lin Yi had recovered and used the same 3 moves again, he'd really be dead. You hate Pinliang a lot, don't you? Lin Yi asked with a smile. Humph, Lin Yi, don't get too cocky. I can kill you with a flip of my hand. Naipeo smiled coldly. Is that so? Fire 8 trigrams palm 8th form. Lin Yi used the Fire 8 trigrams palm once again, striking towards Naipeo. But this time, Lin Yi used the 8th form, not the 7th form. In actuality, the reason why Lin Yi used the 8th form was because his real target this time was Demon 8. Attacking Naipeo was just an illusion. If Demon 8 wasn't killed, he'd always be a hidden threat. Even if Lin Yi injured Naipeo, with Demon 8 there, he wouldn't be able to let Feng Shipian and Li Siba kill him. It'd be an endless loop between him and Naipeo. He'd hurt him, he'd heal himself, and Lin Yi'd recover his chi and stamina. This cycle wouldn't end until the end of the test. Only by killing Demon 8 and injuring Naipeo would he be able to create a chance for Feng Shipian and the others to kill Naipeo together. As for the 2 followers of the Dark Palace, they'd long since gone into hiding. They were negligible. They'd seen that Lin Yi could hurt Naipeo, and knew that Lin Yi wasn't someone to be messed with. So, they decided to hide. Lin Yi didn't mind people like this at all as long as he got rid of Naipeo and Demon 8, they'd follow him obediently. Naipeo's eyes were wide open, his face tense as if he was facing a powerful enemy. In the test before, he'd been able to laugh and talk freely even when facing a Sky-class late-phase peak, but now, he was under a lot of pressure. Chapter 28-29. Although this move wouldn't have any effect on those Sky-class masters who were prepared and had strong willpower, Lin Yi didn't think that these 2 conditions were met. When Zhao Qikun and Feng Shipian were explaining this move to Lin Yi, they were interrupted by Naipeo, and so Nipale believed that Lin Yi didn't know much about his demon of Hell Fist, and even if Lin Yi had a strong will, he was only in Earth class, he wouldn't be able to wake up from the illusion of the demon of Hell Fist by himself. At that thought, Nipale didn't use the Thorn arts, but the demon of Hell Fist arts. He punched out as Lin Yi got closer, yelling, "Demon of Hell Fist!" Boom! At the same time, Lin Yi's fire Bagua palm landed on Demon 8, who was standing not far from Nipale, completely defenseless. "You!" Pfft. Demon 8 looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. He didn't think that Lin Yi, who was supposed to be attacking Nipale, would suddenly change his target to Demon 8. But when he realized this, it was already too late. He could only watch as Lin Yi's palm landed on his chest, and his sternum caved in. A sharp pain spread from his chest to his entire body, and he moaned in pain as he was sent flying by Lin Yi's strength. He didn't want to die, but there was nothing he could do. He wanted to yell at Lin Yi for being so cunning, but then he remembered that when he first met Lin Yi, in the inn's restaurant, didn't Emojio become a cripple like this? However, by the time Emoba realized this, it was already too late. He felt the arrival of death, and he already knew that this time, he would definitely die. But what made him excited was that before he died, he saw Nipale use his ultimate move on Lin Yi, Demon of Hell Fist. Although he was dead, he was happy that Gunslinger had avenged him. Demon 8 landed heavily on the ground, closed his eyes, and passed away peacefully. A stream of chi shot out from Nipale's fist, heading straight for Lin Yi's head. Lin Yi was shocked, and suddenly remembered what Feng Shipian had told him about Nipale's ultimate move, Demon of Hell Fist. Dongfang Bulu was a sky-class late-phase peak, and even he was hit by it. Lin Yi was only an Earth-class late-phase. Naturally, he wouldn't be able to handle this move. But when Lin Yi reacted, it was already too late. Lin Yi was using the Fire Bagua Palm's 8th form to attack Demon 8, and the chi from Nipale's fist entered Lin Yi at the same time. Suddenly, Lin Yi felt his head go dizzy, and found himself in a strange world. The scenery around Lin Yi changed abruptly, turning into a familiar scene. This was the X-Island where he'd been with his Shifu when he was young. Bro, Daddy's dead! As Lin Yi was spacing out, not knowing why he had suddenly returned to Island X, where he trained when he was a kid, a familiar, crying voice sounded. Lin Yi raised his head to see that it was his teammate, Yang Xiaoxiao, the daughter of his Shifu. What? Shifu's dead? Lin Yi was startled as he looked at Yang Xiaoxiao, surprised. He'd gotten into the role without realizing it, as if he'd gone back to his childhood training on X Island. Yes, Daddy's dead. Little 9 killed Daddy, Yang Xiaoxiao said. What? Little 7, you said Shifu was killed by Little 9? Lin Yi's eyes were wide open as he looked at Yang Xiaoxiao in disbelief. Little 7 was Yang Xiaoxiao's code name in the team. Yes, but I've already killed Little 9 to avenge Daddy, Yang Xiaoxiao said sadly. I really didn't think that Little 9 was this kind of person. What? Little 9 is also dead? Lin Yi suddenly felt that the amount of information in this matter was too much for him to accept. He had a splitting headache. This was because this series of events had already exceeded the scope of what he could bear. Bro, don't believe Sister 7. Shifu was killed by her. I saw it. Sister 7 wanted to kill me. Lin Yi couldn't accept it. Suddenly he heard Little 9's voice. When he turned his head, he saw Little 9 crawling over with blood all over her body. Her head was actually broken. Only a little bit of skin on her neck was connected. As she crawled, it swayed and looked like it was about to fall off. Even though Lin Yi had a strong psychological endurance, he couldn't help but scream. Her head was broken, but she could still speak. Bro, be careful, Little 9 suddenly said. Lin Yi suddenly felt a sharp pain in his abdomen. When he turned his head, he saw that Yang Xiaoxiao was holding a dagger in her hand, piercing his lower abdomen. Yang Xiaoxiao's mouth had a cruel and proud smile. Little 7, you... Lin Yi looked at Little 7 in horror. Ha, I am not Little 7 actually. I am Yuning. Yang Xiaoxiao's face suddenly changed and turned into Yuning, A face that Lin Yi was more familiar with. Little Ning, you. Lin Yi couldn't believe it. How could Yu Ning kill her own master, kill little 9? Why did she pretend to be little 7? Just when Lin Yi wanted to ask, Lin Yi suddenly found that the scenery around him had changed again. It turned into a primeval forest in Africa. And Yu Ning, at the moment, was looking at him affectionately. Lin Yi looked at Yu Ning again and found that there was no dagger in Yu Ning's hand, and his lower abdomen was no longer in pain. Lin Yi was puzzled. Yu Ning suddenly said, "Eagle, today is Valentine's Day and—" Lin Yi responded he hadn't recovered from the previous shock. "I like you," Yu Ning said. "But I know that you can't be with me, so what I can't get, no one else can. I want to die with you, so we can be together forever." Ah? Lin Yi was stunned. This was not Yu Ning's style at all. Lin Yi was wondering if Yu Ning was insane today. Suddenly, a lion came into the cave, and Yu Ning was summoning the lion. The lion came over and bit Yu Ning at the waist. Her upper body went directly into the belly of the lion, leaving only half of her body. She made a strange laugh. Ha 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 ha. Chapter 28:30. Ha ha. Lin Yi raised his head and found that the laughter didn't come from the remaining half of Yu Ning's body. But behind the lion, there was another person. It was Go Huli. "Lin Yi, you didn't expect this, right? My lion ate your lover. Isn't this feeling great?" Go Huli said proudly. "Bitch, give me your life." Lin Yi didn't think that all of this was Go Huli's doing. He suddenly punched Go Huli with a frenzy fist. Bang! Go Huli was just an ordinary person. Lin Yi's frenzy fist sent her flying. However, when Go Huli fell to the ground, Lin Yi heard another person's voice. "Lin Yi Gidge, you're so cruel. Jing Jing almost died for you, and you actually want to kill Jing Jing." The Go Huli on the ground suddenly turned into Han Jingjing. This made Lin Yi's heart tighten. "Jingjing, how are you?" Lin Yi quickly ran to Han Jingjing's side and was about to use the art of dragon mastery to heal her injuries. However, the Han Jingjing on the ground suddenly changed. It turned into Tian Chan. "Lin Yi, you pervert! I'm going to kill you!" Tian Chan took out a sharp knife and stabbed Lin Yi's chest. Ah! Lin Yi felt like he was going crazy. Why did the people around him change one by one? Why did they all betray him? However, just when Lin Yi was a little shocked, how did Go Huli turn into Tian Chan? The Tian Chan in his arms actually turned into another girl. A girl that looked familiar, but he didn't know. "Lin Yi, you're actually hugging another girl. Don't you want me anymore? If you don't want me, I'll die in front of you." The girl looked at Lin Yi bitterly. The look in her eyes made Lin Yi feel like he had seen it before, but he couldn't be sure. You are?" Lin Yi looked at the girl in front of him strangely and asked. "Who are you?" "Lin Yi, you. Don't you recognize me?" The girl's eyes flashed with disappointment and grievance. Suddenly she raised her hand slightly, and a snow mist spread from her hand, completely covering Lin Yi. "Before I die, I want you to die. You are from Xuegu." Lin Yi suddenly remembered that the girl in front of him was the girl he fell in love with at first sight in Xuegu. However, he only saw her from afar. They didn't interact. Why did she want to kill him? Lin Yi's mind was a mess, and he couldn't help but scream again. Oh! Chikun didn't think that Naipeo would use the dark demon fist all of a sudden, and after Lin Yi got hit, his eyes glazed over. He screamed and hugged his head, squatting on the ground. It was very similar to Dongfang Bulia's situation. "Boss, what's wrong? Wake up!" Chikun jumped in fright and yelled. "Yeah, Brother Lin, wake up!" Shipian was panicking as well, reaching out to help Lin Yi up. What he didn't expect was that Lin Yi's frenzy fist hit Shipian's chest. Luckily, Lin Yi was fighting Go Huli, a normal human. Lin Yi only used the first stance of the frenzy fist, and it didn't do much damage to Shipian, but it still made him feel a little suffocated. "Brother Lin, it's me!" Feng Shipian jumped in fright and shouted. Although this was only the power of the first or second mystic class skill, Lin Yi was someone who could instantly kill a Sky class mid-phase master. Feng Shipian was only at the early phase of Sky class. He was afraid that Lin Yi would accidentally kill him in an instant. But Lin Yi didn't pay any attention to him at all. He raised his hand and pushed Feng Shipian to the side. He stood up and cried out in shock again as he ran for the distance. "Boss, come back!" Qikuan was panicking. This was what happened to Dongfang below. If it were any other place, Lin Yi would be fine even if he ran like crazy. There was no danger, but this was different. This was 5 Malice Barons, and there were many spirit beasts. One mistake and they could run into one, and so Qikuan was worried that Lin Yi would follow in Dongfang Bulu's footsteps. But Lin Yi didn't seem to hear him at all, running back and forth in the 5 Fiends Barons. He didn't go far, just running in circles. Even so, Qikuan and the others were panicking. There weren't any spirit beasts around now, but that didn't mean that there wouldn't be any later. If one were to suddenly appear, Lin Yi would be in danger. Feng Shipian, Li Siba, Ge Xian, and Qikuan were all focused on Lin Yi, while Naipeo, on the other hand, put an energy pill in his mouth to recover his qi. Of course, the energy pill was one of the long-lost elixirs, and it was extremely precious. He wouldn't use it unless he had no other choice, but he didn't have Protector Mo Ba with him right now. He didn't dare be careless, afraid that Feng Shipian and the others would come after him. That was why he took the pill. "Zhang Naipeo, what did you do to Boss Lin Yi?" Qikuan was panicking. Lin Yi had been very nice to him, bringing him to the test and giving him the map to the safe place. He was very grateful for all of this, and now that Naipeo had done this to Lin Yi, he was, of course, worried. "It's nothing, he just entered the illusion. If you want to know what happened to him, I can let you try," Naipeo said faintly. In actuality, the qi he had recovered wasn't even enough for him to use the Dark Demon Fist once, but he could use the Thorn Arts practitioner's arts. Naipeo wasn't worried at all as he tried to scare Qikuan. Qikuan's face froze, but he didn't dare say anything else. His face was filled with rage, but he didn't dare say anything. "Illusion? I remember now." Feng Shipian suddenly slapped his head and said, "I know what's going on with the Dark Demon Hell Fist." "Oh? What is it?" Li Siba, Ge Xian, and Qikuan asked at the same time. Naipeo looked at Feng Shipian, surprised as well. He didn't expect him to know about the Dark Demon Fist. Chapter 2831. Then, is there a way to solve it? Qikuan waved his hand. Right now, we're not in a rush to find out what's going on with this art. We don't have time to think about it, we just want a solution? No! Shipian shook his head. There's no way to break these ancient arts. We can only defend against them, but we can't break them. Then what do we do? Qikuan asked, shocked. What if a spirit beast comes? Wouldn't Boss be in danger? Yes, so I'm going to tell you guys the details of this art. There's strength in numbers, so let's all think about it and see if there's a solution, Shipian said. Then why didn't you say so earlier? Qikuan said, panicking. I was about to say it, but you interrupted me. Feng Shipian smiled bitterly. This is actually a skill that can affect a person's mind. Zhang Naipeo used a special method to push his qi into Brother Lin's head, putting him in a state of madness. His soul, we practitioners call it the Yuanshin, and once the Yuanshin is sucked into an illusion, he'll lose himself. In his mind, some of the beautiful memories will reappear, but the memories will change. For example, if the few of us successfully pass the trial of the Heavenly Elixir sect, this should be a very good memory for the few of us, right? But in the illusion, the memories will change, and we might be killed, or killed each other, or eaten by spirit beasts. Either way, the memories will change, and it'll feel like we're in the same place. It'll drive us crazy. That weird? Siba said, shocked. So it really is a demonic sect, to have such an evil move. This is also why this art is called the Hell's Demon Fist. Those who get hit by it will feel like they're in hell, and they won't be able to get out of it. Shipian nodded. Then, can we capture Boss and force him to wake him up? Chikun asked. No. As far as I know, people who get hit by the Hell's Demon fists, there's only a very small chance of awakening them, and most of them don't work. The worst case scenario is that their soul leaves their body and they die. Shipian shook his head. In theory, we can only wait for Brother Lin's soul to wake up and destroy the illusion. Outsiders like us have no way of dealing with the Heart's Demon. Unless we're Sky Class Late Phase Peak, and we know how to use our soul to communicate with Brother Lin, it's pretty much impossible to wake him up normally. This won't work, that won't work. What do we do? Chikun was panicking, but there was nothing he could do. Not bad. You're quite knowledgeable. You've actually guessed most of my ultimate technique correctly. Naipeo suddenly clapped his hands, praising. You're right, even I can't wake him up. Actually, if it was possible, I really didn't want him to die. I want to leave his life for Liangbro. In actuality, there was one thing Naipeo didn't say. Lin Yi being alive would be a motivation for him to train hard. If Lin Yi was dead, he didn't know if this motivation would still exist. The chrysanthemum arts required hatred in order to train, and the more hatred there was, the faster the training would go. Otherwise, the training wouldn't be as smooth as before. Chikun glared at Naipeo. He didn't believe him, thinking that he was just being sarcastic. If he didn't want Lin Yi to die, why would he use this move? Just when everyone was at a loss, an Earth-class spirit beast walked over from afar, heading in the direction Lin Yi was going. This shocked everyone, even Naipeo. He thought that Lin Yi was dead for sure. Don't underestimate it just because it was an Earth-class early-phase spirit beast, but it was the most difficult spirit beast to deal with, the giant ape. This type of spirit beast looked like a human, and could practice martial arts as well. It was extremely agile, and even a Sky-class practitioner wouldn't be able to protect himself if he met it, let alone an Earth-class late-phase master who had lost his mind. Boss, watch out! Chikun yelled at Lin Yi, but it didn't have any effect. Lin Yi didn't seem to hear him at all. He was still running towards the ape. The two were like two cars in a math problem. Chikun grumbled to himself as he calculated how long it would take for Lin Yi to meet the ape. This might be the last of Lin Yi's life in this world. The scene of Dongfang Butang getting killed by the beast's tail was still fresh in his mind. Generally speaking, if a human cultivator approached a spirit beast, it would be seen as malicious, and the spirit beast would take the initiative to attack. This was especially true in the savage land of Five Evils, which was originally the territory of the spirit beasts. With so many cultivators suddenly entering, the spirit beasts would be very hostile towards these cultivators. The distance between Lin Yi and the ape was getting closer and closer, and the ape seemed to have noticed Lin Yi running towards it. It stopped abruptly and looked at Lin Yi, scratching its head with its forearm in confusion before shaking its head and continuing to walk forward. This weird movement of the ape confused everyone, but no one thought that it would attack Lin Yi. As long as it saw Lin Yi, there was no reason for it to let Lin Yi go. 30 meters, 20 meters, 10 meters, 5 meters, 1 meter. Chikun was so scared that he closed his eyes. Foam Shipian, Li Siba, and Gu Xian were holding their breaths as well, not daring to look at Lin Yi. Naipeo, on the other hand, shook his head. Lin Yi, you can only blame your bad luck for not being as skillful as others. If you die, then so be it. But now, there was one person. No, it was a spirit beast, who wasn't worried about Lin Yi at all. He wasn't worried that the ape would attack Lin Yi, but that Lin Yi wouldn't be able to recover from this crazed state. Just when everyone thought that the ape would attack, Lin Yi and the ape brushed past each other. The ape looked at Lin Yi a few more times, but didn't attack Lin Yi. He continued on his way, not looking at Lin Yi anymore. Chapter 2832. GG. No, my master was framed by someone, and he's in a state of madness. He didn't mean to provoke you. Could you please let him go? The pig quickly shook his head. Huff, huff, that won't do. He provoked me, so I'm going to kill him, the eight-legged lizard said. GG. I'm begging you, let him go, the pig begged. Hulu. No. All right, that's enough. Little fella, you're weaker than me, you should listen to me. I'm ordering you to get out of the way, or I'll kill you too. The lizard wasn't the type of spirit beast that liked to kill its own kind, and so it didn't want to attack the pig. Gee, I'm a contracted spirit beast, and your level suppression doesn't work on me. I'm scared of you, but I won't get out of the way. My master treats me very well. The pig shook his head firmly. Hulu. All right, if that's the case, then don't blame me for being merciless. The lizard raged. It was ready to send the pig flying, and then kill Lin Yi. Gigi? Give me a little more time, please. I'll try to wake my master up. The pig panicked. Huff, huff, go to the side. The lizard reached out its front claw and slapped the skybolt pig away. Gee! The pig cried out in pain as he was sent flying. It wasn't a fatal injury, but it wasn't a light one. He landed heavily on the ground, and couldn't get up anymore. Humph, you overestimate yourself. Naipeo didn't know what the pig and the lizard were talking about, but it was obvious that the pig was trying to stop the lizard from attacking Lin Yi. The reason why Naipeo said that was because he could see that Skybolt pig was a mystic late-phase peak, and the difference between him and the lizard was like heaven and earth. Because of the difference in level, there was no way Skybolt pig could stop the lizard. Feng Shipian, Li Siba, Gu Xian, and Qikuan, on the other hand, were confused and annoyed. Logically speaking, Lin Yi shouldn't have been attacked by a spirit beast, so why was his contracted spirit beast messing around? It seemed like the lizard was pissed off, and it was heavily injured. Little pig, come back, brother Lin will be fine. These spirit beasts seem to be very friendly to him. Feng Shipian called out to the pig. The pig rolled his eyes, speechless. Feng Shipian and the others didn't know the truth, and he couldn't explain it to them. Besides, it was impossible for him to get up even if he wanted to. He was heavily injured, and he couldn't get up at all. Seeing the lizard crawl towards Lin Yi, as if it was going to kill Lin Yi, Qikuan and the others were panicking, but there was nothing they could do. They were a team of 2 Sky Class, 1 Earth Class, and 1 Mystic Class, 2 Sky Class, and 1 Mystic Class. This was a strong team in the world of practitioners, but against a spirit beast, there was no way they could fight back. Spirit beasts had a huge advantage over human practitioners due to their natural advantages. This time, from their point of view, Lin Yi was really done for. Lin Yi's soul was in an unrealistic environment, and it was causing Lin Yi's mind to be unsettled, and he was going berserk. Lin Yi's body was going berserk in reality, and Lin Yi's soul was going berserk in the jade as well, but Lin Yi didn't know it. What's wrong? Jiao Lao was a bit worried, but calling out to Lin Yi was useless. 1. Jiao Yazi didn't have much strength, and 2. He was just an illusory body with a sliver of soul inside. He didn't have the power to wake Lin Yi up. Jiao Lao called out again, but Lin Yi was still running around in the jade space, causing the chi in the jade space to shake along with Lin Yi. What's going on? What are you doing? I want to train in peace, and I can't even stop. Isn't it just borrowing your territory? You don't have to go through all this trouble, do you? Do you really think that you can call the shots in your territory? An abrupt voice suddenly sounded in the jade space. What surprised Jiao Yazi was that the owner of the voice was the ghost that occupied a corner and slept as soon as he entered the jade space. He saw the ghost get up from the corner, and he couldn't see its shape clearly, but he was sure that Lin Yi's berserk state woke it up. But it was no wonder that Lin Yi didn't suppress his strength at all. He was running around in the space of the jade pendant, activating all the pure energy in his body. The pure energy in the space of the jade pendant was running around with Lin Yi. That damn thing couldn't train in peace here. You're up? Jiao Yazi was stunned. He didn't expect this ghost to wake up at this time, and he didn't know if it was a friend or foe, or if it would cause trouble. This place is in chaos because of this little guy. How can I not get up? I can't stop even if I want to. Huh! After the ghost complained, it suddenly looked at Lin Yi, who was running crazily in the jade space. What's wrong with him? Seems like he's possessed? That's right. Do you have a way? Xiao Yazi was stunned for a moment, and he quickly asked. He didn't expect this ghost to see the problem. Has his cultivation gone astray? The ghost said lazily. Forget it, I don't care what's wrong with you, since I'm training in your territory, and you're disturbing me, I'll help you. You can help him? Xiao Yazi was happy and quickly asked. Of course I can. I'm different from you. You're just a wisp of primordial spirit. Although your body should be very strong, you're not as strong as me right now. That thing said proudly. Watch me. You really have a lot of nonsense. Xiao Yazi said coldly. If you can do it, hurry up. Kid! Wake up, don't run! The ghost suddenly roared, causing the chi in the jade space to tremble, and Xiao Yazi also looked at the ghost in surprise. That loud roar might seem no different from a normal person speaking loudly, but in truth, there was something special about that loud roar. It could make people who had been possessed by chi deviation and were delirious snap out of the demons in their hearts. The loud roar contained an energy that could clear people's minds, and it had a similar effect as Shaolin Lion's roar. Chapter 2833. Then, he recalled what happened before. Although Linny was in a berserk state and didn't know what happened at that time, when Linny woke up, he clearly heard the conversation between Xiao Yazi and the ghostly thing. Thinking that it was the ghostly thing that woke him up and brought him back to reality from the nightmare, Lin Yi's eyes flashed with a touch of gratitude. Originally, he was very unhappy with the ghostly thing's behavior of occupying the magpie's nest without a greeting, but he couldn't do anything about it. He couldn't wake it up or chase it away, so Lin Yi could only let it do as it pleased. However, he still felt conflicted in his heart. At this time, Lin Yi realized that it was a wise thing to keep this ghostly thing in the space of the jade pendant. Without its existence, he was afraid that he would soon become the eight-legged lizard's prey. Thank you very much! Lin Yi cupped his fist at the ghostly thing. I can't thank you enough for your kindness. You can continue to cultivate here. Haha, young man, that's a good thing. However, it's not right for me to not do something for you since I'm staying here. You don't have to thank me, we're just using each other, the ghostly thing said. Me? Are you a human or a ghost? Lin Yi was stunned. You don't have to worry about this. With your current strength, it doesn't matter if you know or not. You should just take care of the things in front of you. The ghostly thing reminded him, and shook its head. Sigh, I'm awake, but it's not good for me to sleep again. It's really troublesome. Lin Yi was speechless, but the ghostly thing was right. He really had something to do here. Although the eight-legged lizard crawled slowly, it was about to reach him. Lin Yi clearly saw what happened between Skybolt Pig and the eight-legged lizard outside the Five Evils wildlands. Lin Yi was very grateful for Skybolt Pig's bravery. He didn't know what it said to the lizard, but it was obvious that the conversation failed. Skybolt Pig was beaten up by the lizard, and although he didn't die, Lin Yi's feelings for Skybolt Pig deepened a lot. Lin Yi returned to reality and quickly ran over, picked up Skybolt Pig, and ran towards the direction of safety. Seeing Lin Yi wake up all of a sudden, picking up the pig and running, everyone froze. They were both surprised and happy, but Naipeo's eyes were filled with amazement. He didn't understand how Lin Yi had woken up all of a sudden. Logically, this shouldn't be possible. Although, there were some strong-willed people who could wake up on their own, but those were all Sky classes. Earth classes and Sky class practitioners were very rare. Lin Yi was in Earth class late phase. How could he wake up on his own? Piggy, thank you, Lin Yi said gratefully to Skybolt Pig. Skybolt Pig was a bit surprised. He didn't think that Lin Yi would wake up from the illusion so quickly. It was worth the time he had wasted. He called out excitedly. Oink oink, Skybolt Pig, but I'll heal you later. There's still a problem in front of us. Lin Yi quickly ran towards safety, but Naipeo's problem wasn't solved yet. There was something in the jade space that could wake him up, but if Feng Shipian, Li Siba, Gu Xian, Zhao Qikuan, and the others were affected, then it'd be troublesome. Oink oink! Skybolt Pig nodded. He wouldn't die any time soon, and he didn't need to rush to heal himself. The lizard saw Linny run away with Skybolt Pig to safety, and hesitated. It didn't chase after Linny. Its walking speed was already slow, and if it were to chase after Linny, it'd be fine, but Linny might be able to hide in a safe place before it could catch up. Linny, you're fine? Nipeo looked at Linny confused. He didn't expect Linny to wake up on his own. I'm fine. Are you disappointed? Linny looked at Nipeo faintly, a strange light in his eyes. Linny, you may have woken up this time, but I don't believe that you'll be this lucky every time. Even a Sky class has a chance of waking up by themselves. You can't avoid it every time, Nipeo said. Haha, is that so? Then can you dodge it? Linny asked back. Me? What do you mean? Nipeo paused. Nothing much, Linny said, but he was trying his best to recall the method Nipeo used to activate the Hell's Demon's Fist. Linny had an all-rounder skill, and he could modify and fuse his own skills. So, ever since Linny woke up, he'd been trying to remember and imitate the activation method of Nipeo's Dark Demon Fist. Nipeo's Thorn Arts was a passive skill, and he didn't need to activate it himself. So, Linny couldn't imitate it even if he wanted to. Without the incantation, he wouldn't be able to use it at all. The Hell's Demon Fist, however, was different. Linny had already seen through Nipeo's gestures and activation method, and he was pretty close to it in his mind. He just didn't know if he'd be able to activate it on the first try. Linny, since you're fine, then let's call it a draw. We can't do anything to each other, so let's call it a draw. We'll fight again next time. Nipeo could still use the Dark Demon Fist one more time, but if Linny woke up this time, then killing him would be a piece of cake. And so, Nipeo hesitated a little, not daring to use the Dark Demon Fist again. Using the Thorn Arts to fight Linny head-on wouldn't be able to outlast Linny, and so he decided to retreat. What? Scared? Linny said faintly. Where's your strength from before? Linny, don't think that I'm scared of you. If it weren't for leaving you for Liang Bro, I wouldn't let you go so easily. Nipeo humphed coldly. Is that so? Do you think that you can fight whenever you want? Is this savage land of 5 evils your home? Linny knew that Nipeo was putting on a brave front, but Linny wasn't planning on letting him go so easily. If it weren't for the thing in the jade that pulled him back to reality, Linny would have been killed by that lizard already. Linny, don't be so shameless. I don't believe that you'll be able to wake up this time. Nipeo's face twisted as he started channeling the incantation, ready to use the Dark Demon Fist again. Chapter 2834. Chikun opened his eyes as well. He was surprised to see that Linny was fine. Boss, you're alright? Nipeo was in disbelief as well. Why didn't the ape attack Linny? It was understandable if it didn't see Linny, but it did see Linny, and it wasn't like it couldn't beat Linny, but it didn't do anything. How strange. Could it be that the ape had just killed someone, and didn't have any energy left? Siba just couldn't figure it out. He shook his head and said, That doesn't make sense. This ape looks quite energetic. Perhaps the giant ape's personality was better, allowing Brother Lin to escape. Guxian analyzed. That's probably the case. Foam Shipian nodded as well, feeling lucky. But as the saying goes, you can hide the first time, but you can't hide forever. Just when everyone was letting out a breath of relief, a black tiger sprinted towards them. It wasn't heading towards Linny, but it was still within the tiger's line of sight. This black tiger had a violent temperament, and when it saw a human practitioner, there was no hope of survival. It even fed on some low-level spirit beasts, unlike most spirit beasts, who use training as a substitute for food. Some of the low-ranked spirit beasts here would hide far away when they saw the ferocious black tiger spirit beast, lest they were beaten to a pulp. And so, this black tiger was only mystic early phase, but in everyone's eyes, it was even scarier than the ape from before. Linny was in its line of sight, and there was no way Linny could escape this. How could I be so unlucky? Chikun sighed. He thought that Linny would be able to avoid this, but he didn't expect it to happen so soon. Foam Shipian, Siba, and Gu Xian all took in a cold breath. It was indeed unlucky he just escaped the wolf pack and entered the tiger's mouth, and it was much more dangerous than before. Skybold Pig looked at the tiger faintly, but didn't move. Logically speaking, his strength as a mystic late phase peach should have been enough to suppress the tiger, but he didn't do that. He just sat there, thinking about how to get Lin Yi out of this situation. But Feng Shipian, Li Siba, Gu Xian, and Qikun had all forgotten about Skybolt Pig. They didn't think about the level suppression from the spirit beasts either. As far as they were concerned, Lin Yi wasn't going to make it, but what they didn't expect was that a miracle happened. Once more the tiger saw Lin Yi, but it didn't attack Lin Yi at all. It just looked at him for a while before it sped away, not intending to get close to Lin Yi. Ah! This time, even Zhang Naipeo's mouth was wide open in shock. If the first time was luck, then how could the second time still be luck? Especially against this ferocious tiger, there was no way he could survive. But who would have thought that the tiger didn't attack Lin Yi at all? It didn't make sense. In fact, what they didn't know was that Lin Yi had the fragrance bag that Tian Chan gave him, so in the ape's eyes, Lin Yi was a spirit beast. The ape's intelligence was quite high, on par with Skybolt Pig's, and so it looked at Lin Yi a few times, thinking that Lin Yi was a spirit beast, but at the same time, he wasn't one. It hadn't seen his face before, but he did look like a practitioner. But while the ape wasn't weak, it wasn't violent. As far as it was concerned, it thought that Lin Yi was a spirit beast as well, so naturally, it wouldn't attack. It was confused, but it still left. The other practitioners were far away, and there was no need for it to attack them. The black tiger, on the other hand, was extremely ferocious, but it was only a mystic early phase, and in its eyes, Lin Yi was just an Earth-class late-phase spirit beast. According to the level suppression of spirit beasts, it could only bully golden-class spirit beasts, and whether or not Lin Yi looked like a spirit beast, it didn't dare look at him for long. This was also why Skybolt Pig didn't make a move. He knew about the fragrance bag that Tian Chan gave to Lin Yi, and he was a spirit beast as well. He had personally felt the magic of the fragrance bag, and so he wasn't worried that Lin Yi would be attacked by spirit beasts. Lin Yi successfully dodged the first two spirit beasts, but not long after, a Sky-class 8-legged lizard slowly passed by. This lizard had the strength of Sky-class mid-phase, and while it crawled very slowly, its strength was not to be underestimated. One look and you could tell that it wasn't easy to mess with it. Its eyes were red as it stared at Lin Yi, who was running around not too far away. "I hope boss can survive this, but it should be fine, right?" Qikun wasn't too worried this time. "Yeah, Brother Lin may be in a crazed state, but the spirit beasts seem to be very friendly to him. There must be some secret," Feng Shipian said as well. "That's true." Gu Xian nodded as well. "I heard that there's a secret art that allows a human practitioner to disguise as a spirit beast. I don't know if it's true or not, but it seems like Brother Lin has this secret art." These people weren't panicking this time, but Skybolt Pig was scared out of his wits. Other people didn't know, but he knew that Sky-class spirit beasts weren't stupid. Lin Yi's fragrance bag could be hidden from spirit beasts below Sky-class, but it wouldn't work on spirit beasts above Sky-class. From the eyes of the 8-legged lizard, one could see that it was pissed off at Lin Yi, and was ready to kill Lin Yi. However, even though the Skybolt Pig realized that something was wrong, it did not know what to do. Given its strength, it could not stop the 8-legged lizard at all, but even if it could not, the Skybolt Pig could only bite the bullet and negotiate with it. The 8-legged lizard was slowly crawling towards Lin Yi, ready to kill this human practitioner who was provoking it. "GG. Hello, I'm Skybolt Pig, this human practitioner's spirit beast contract." Skybolt Pig quickly ran over to the 8-legged lizard. Chapter 2835. "Hellfire Fist!" Lin Yi yelled. The reason why he said so much was because he was simulating the Hellfire Fist in his mind, and now he could use it. Wah! Naipeo was in the middle of channeling his practitioner's arts when he heard Lin Yi say something so familiar. He paused and raised his head to look at Lin Yi, only to see Lin Yi's fist coming at him. Nipeo quickly changed his practitioner's arts, and started channeling his thorn arts. He didn't know what Lin Yi's Hellfire Fist was, but he had his own arts to protect himself naturally. He wasn't afraid. Boom! Lin Yi copied Nipeo's style and channeled the Hellfire Fist Chi into his fist, shooting it straight into Nipeo's head. In order to make this move more effective, Lin Yi channeled the ninth form of the Hellfire Fist, and so Lin Yi's Hellfire Fist was equivalent to the ninth form of the Hellfire Fist. But even so, Nipeo's thorns still managed to reflect 240% of the Hellfire Fist back, and only 20% of it landed on Lin Yi's body. Of course, that 240% didn't affect Lin Yi at all. It was all absorbed by the golden cicada underwear. But what Lin Yi didn't expect was that this Hellfire Fist would use up so much chi, almost as much as the Fire 8 trigram palm. Lin Yi channeled the ninth form of the Hellfire Fist, and although it was successful, all of the chi in Lin Yi's body seemed to be released from his body along with Lin Yi's technique. Shooting towards Nipeo's head, Lin Yi's chi seemed to have been sucked dry, and Lin Yi didn't have time to think before falling to the ground. Ah! Nipeo held his head, a flash of shock in his eyes before turning into a red haze. He took off running towards the direction of the Five Fiends' Barons. Nipeo didn't think that he'd be able to use the Hell's Demon's Fist, or rather, the Hellfire Fist. It didn't look like it, but the effect was more or less the same. Nipeo felt as if he'd fallen into a sea of fire, and an endless amount of fire appeared behind him, scaring him into a run, afraid that the fire would burn him. Lin Yi's Hellfire Fist didn't have the same effect as Nipeo's, but it could create a sea of fire that was incredibly realistic, making it hard for people to tell the difference between real and fake. It was an illusion that they couldn't pull themselves out of. And so, while Nipeo didn't have any painful memories or hallucinations, he did have the feeling that he was in hell, as if he was being tormented by a sea of fire in hell. The pain was even more intense. Think about it, anyone who had a sea of fire behind them wouldn't feel good, and they'd have to keep running. Nipeo felt like that right now, as if he would be swallowed by the sea of fire if he stopped even for a second. So, in order to survive, he had to keep running. In the blink of an eye, Nipeo was gone, and Lin Yi was sitting on the ground, recovering a bit of his chi. He was ready to have Feng Shipian and Li Siba work together to kill Nipeo, but Nipeo was already far away. Lin Yi didn't have any chi left, and naturally, he couldn't chase after Nipeo himself. But this place was full of danger, and Lin Yi didn't want Feng Shipian and Li Siba to take the risk. If Nipeo didn't catch up and ran into a spirit beast, it wouldn't be worth it. Plus, Nipeo wasn't slow, and whether or not they could catch up was another matter. So, Lin Yi only felt a little regretful before letting it go. He'd let Nipeo die on his own. With his crazed state, even if he didn't get killed by the spirit beast, he wouldn't be able to leave this place. Lin Yi didn't believe that someone who didn't know how to heal would be able to find a portal to leave this place. If Nipeo didn't wake up by the end of the test, then he'd have to live here forever. "Boss, how are you? Are you okay?" Chikun asked as he saw Lin Yi sitting on the ground. "It's fine, I just used up all the pure chi in my body, it's nothing serious." Lin Yi waved his hand and said, "I'll heal Skybolt Pig first, we'll talk when we get back to safety." "All right." Chikun quickly walked over and held Lin Yi. Feng Shipian, Li Siba, and Gu Xian were all looking at Lin Yi with admiration. They didn't think that things would turn out this way. The powerful Zhang Nipeo had been defeated by Lin Yi. It was supposed to be Lin Yi's crazed state, but now, it was Zhang Nipeo. Before, the three of them weren't as strong as Lin Yi, so they didn't call Lin Yi boss like Chikun did. They only called Lin Yi their captain, but now, they were leaning towards building a good relationship with Lin Yi. "Boss, what do we do with Demon 8's body?" Li Siba worshipped Lin Yi the most. His sect mate had been injured by Nipeo, and now that Nipeo was being driven insane by Lin Yi, he was the happiest. He'd gotten his revenge. Especially now that Nipeo's 2 followers were gone, he made up his mind that he'd report this to his master when he got back to the sect and reevaluate his relationship with Lin Yi. But no matter what the sect decided, he decided that Lin Yi was his boss. Calling him boss was something that came out of their mouths, and only then did Lee Sibba realize that his Sky Class strength was nothing at all. Was Naipeo a Sky Class? Were Demon 8 and Demon 9 Sky Class? Donphan Bulu was a Sky Class late phase peak, and even he was killed by Naipeo. On the other hand, it was Lin Yi, an Earth Class late phase, who killed Naipeo's group. You really couldn't judge strength by level. That's right, boss. What do we do with the 2 dogs from the Dark Palace? Guxian asked, not backing down. Boss, the 2 of them want to run. I'll go capture them. Feng Shipian saw the 2 disciples of the Dark Palace trying to sneak away, and quickly volunteered to help. All of a sudden, the 3 all called Lin Yi boss, and Qikuan quickly said, Hey, you guys may be from the ancient class, but you've joined boss faction later, so you have to call me Bro Zhao or Bro Chitan. Chapter 2836. That's good, Lin Yi said. You guys can put Demon 8's body at the entrance of the safety if a strong practitioner tries to do anything. Just tell him that I killed Jean Naipeo, and if he tries to cause trouble, he'll end up the same as Demon 8. Of course, don't say that unless it's absolutely necessary, just in case they get desperate. We understand, boss, don't worry, we know what we're doing, Feng Shipian said quickly. If I'm not back by the end of the test, then you guys go to the portal yourself. I have a way to deal with the 5 Malice Chi, but you guys can't, Lin Yi said after some thought. That? All right. Qikuan hesitated, but still nodded. All they could do was listen to Lin Yi, and not cause him any trouble. If the 5 Malice Chi invaded their bodies, it'd be even more troublesome. Lin Yi nodded and didn't say anything more. He picked up the pig and strode out of the safety. There were some spirit beasts passing by, but as long as they weren't Sky-class spirit beasts, there wouldn't be a problem. In fact, heaven-rank spirit beasts were the same as heaven-rank human cultivators. They were very rare. The total number of heaven-rank human cultivators didn't exceed 2 digits. Even if those newly advanced heaven-rank cultivators were added, there would only be a little over 100 of them. They were like phoenix feathers and water chestnuts. It was the same for spirit beasts as well. In the vast 5 Malice wilderness, there wouldn't be more than 2 digits of Sky-class spirit beasts, even fewer than human Sky-class practitioners. After all, it was much harder for spirit beasts to level up than human practitioners. And so, Lin Yi wasn't too worried, and quickly ran towards the direction of 5 Malice Mountains. After a day and a night of rushing, Lin Yi once again arrived at the foot of the 5 Fiends mountain range. On the way, Lin Yi only saw 1 heaven-rank spirit beast, which Lin Yi promptly dodged. The other heaven-rank spirit beasts completely ignored Lin Yi's existence. Of course, Lin Yi also discovered that these spiritual beasts had become more violent than when he first entered the 5 evil savage lands. Along the way, Lin Yi often saw cultivators' corpses. It was a ghastly sight, and there were at least 3 or 4 of them. They must have been killed by spirit beasts. Before this, it was not easy for Lin Yi to see the corpses of cultivators. He did not expect that not long after, the scene would change. However, there were no spirit beasts or cultivators' corpses near the 5 Fiends mountain range. Looking at the undulating 5 Fiends mountain range, Lin Yi felt a little emotional. The scene of him parting with Tian Chan was still vivid in his mind, as if it was just a moment ago. But now, he was the only one left here. Lin Yi also did not know why he could not forget about Tian Chan, so much so that she would appear in the illusion previously. Could it be that he had fallen in love with her? However, what made Lin Yi feel the most strange was that the young lady whom he had only met a few times in the Snowy Valley, why would she appear in the illusion previously? Moreover, in the environment, her appearance was so clear. When he was in the Snowy Valley, Lin Yi did not see her appearance clearly, he only saw a hazy outline. In theory, there was no image of her in his own memory, but in the environment, could it be that he had imagined her? It was a pure, sunny beauty, but it was so vivid and lifelike, without the coldness she had in the Snowy Valley. Lin Yi was a little confused, but because of the illusion effect from Naipeo's dark demon fist, Lin Yi didn't think too much about it. Right now, his priority was to find Yang Qiqi. Linny walked towards the top of the Five Fiends mountain range. He didn't know if Yang Chichi was here for the Five Fiends dragon, but according to Skybolt Pig's findings, the rest of the treasures were all in the Five Fiends dragon's cave. And so, Linny didn't go anywhere else, he went straight to the cave. This was the second time he went to the Five Fiends dragon's cave, and Linny was familiar with the way. He didn't even need Skybolt Pig to lead the way, and he arrived at the entrance of the cave without a hitch. The Five Fiends dragon was lying in the cave, doing who knew what when it heard a noise outside. It got up immediately and looked outside, surprised and confused when it saw Linny. Evidently, the Five Fiends dragon recognized Linny. It had thrown Linny and Tian Chan off the cliff earlier, and now that Linny was back, it was confused. First of all, a practitioner of Lin Yi's strength would be gravely injured, even if he didn't die from falling off a cliff. Not to mention climbing back up from the bottom, it would be hard for him to even recover from his injuries. Second of all, the Five Fiends dragon knew just how hard the cliff was. Human practitioners couldn't climb up from the bottom, and so when it saw Lin Yi, it thought that it was Lin Yi's twin brother. However, when it saw the Skybolt Pig next to Lin Yi, the Five Fiends dragon confirmed that Lin Yi was the same Lin Yi from before. However, it was even more puzzled. So, the Five Fiends dragon didn't rush to attack Lin Yi. Instead, it asked, "Little fella, how did you get up here?" "Eh? You can't talk." Lin Yi didn't expect the Five Fiends dragon to speak the human language. However, when he thought about it, the great fire lion and the heaven spider he met in the Wulonghao mountain range could speak the human language. As the king of the Five Fiends wilderness, it wasn't strange for the Five Fiends dragon to speak the human language. "Of course I can." The Five Fiends dragon was a little dissatisfied with Lin Yi's question. "Little fella, you still haven't answered my question." "Of course I climbed up. How else do you think I got up here?" Lin Yi shrugged his shoulders and said, "If you can talk, why didn't you say anything earlier? Also, why did you throw me down? You are in cahoots with the little girl from before, so I naturally had to throw you down," the Five Fiends dragon said matter-of-factly. "However, since you came up here, I'll let you go. I won't throw you down again. Go! Don't let me see you again." "Then why did you throw her down?" Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat. "You are in cahoots with her? Why?" The Five Fiends dragon was stunned. "I'm not in cahoots with her. I just happened to meet her here." Lin Yi shook his head. Chapter 2837. "Is the spirit herb that was stolen from you on Demon 8? Meng Qi asked. "Take them all back?" Lin Yi pointed at Monster 8's body. "Boss, those elixirs are all in Naipeo's backpack, not with Demon 8, but there's some Xiaohuan pills on him." Li Siba searched Monster 8's body and found a few pills. He was about to give them to Lin Yi. "Oh, the pills, you guys can split them." Lin Yi waved his hand, indicating that he didn't need them. Remembering that Naipeo had taken the herbs, Lin Yi was a little depressed. "I should have just taken his herbs first." "It's fine, boss, we're happy enough with this result. Even if we didn't pass the test, it's fine." Li Siba didn't mind. "Also, you killed this Monster 8 boss, so naturally the pills are yours. How could we take them?" "Haha, I don't need them. I'm a refiner too." Lin Yi smiled, not saying much else. "Siba, since boss says so, then let's split them." Qikun knew Lin Yi's personality, and he was a man of his word. "All right, thank you, boss." Li Siba took a look at the number of minor rejuvenation pills. There were still 5 left. "Brother Zhao, you've been with the boss for a long time, so you're our elder brother as well. You can take 2 of these pills, the rest of us can take 1 each." All right. Qikun didn't reject and nodded. The 2 disciples from the Dark Palace were ready to run, but they were afraid of encountering spirit beasts, so they hesitated. They were hesitating at the entrance of the safe place when Feng Shipian saw them. He stopped them. "You two, where do you think you're going?" "Ugh. Young Master Feng, we've rested enough here, we're leaving." Disciple A stuttered. "Oh? Leaving just like that? You're not going to say anything?" Feng Shipian looked at them with a smile that was not a smile. Thinking back to when he first came here, he was intimidated by the two of them. Feng Shipian felt the thrill of revenge. Young Master Feng, it was Zhang Naipao who took your herbs, it had nothing to do with us. We were just trying to protect ourselves, sorry. Dark Palace disciple B quickly said. Is that so? Then what about the trials elixirs on you? Didn't you take them from us? Feng Shipian said faintly. Disciple A's face froze, but there was nothing he could do. He took out the herbs and gave them to Feng Shipian. Then we'll give them back to you. Can we leave now? Wait, we'll ask the boss. Feng Shipian didn't let him go right away. Instead, he looked at Lin Yi, who was walking over. Let them go, there's no point in keeping them. Lin Yi waved his hand. What are you waiting for? Feng Shipian scolded the Dark Palace disciples. Yes. Thank you very much. The two disciples of the Dark Palace left without looking back. Lin Yi hugged the pig and started channeling the second stage of the art of dragon mastery. He quickly healed the pig's wounds. Lin Yi was very worried about Chi-Chi's situation. She went to Five Fiends Mountain alone. He didn't know what she was looking for. Other than the Five Fiends dragon, Lin Yi really didn't know what else was there. If she was looking for the Five Fiends dragon, she wouldn't be a match for the Five Fiends dragon. Of course, Chi-Chi was always biting the hand that fed her. But Lin Yi saw that she was from the same sect as him, and that she might be looking for the 9th princess herb. Lin Yi had to save her no matter what. And so, Lin Yi didn't have time to care about the lives of the two disciples. They were just two lackeys, after all. If they left, then so be it. Lin Yi couldn't be bothered with people like that. After quickly healing the pig, Lin Yi recovered quite a bit of chi as well. It wasn't a full recovery, but Lin Yi really didn't want to waste any more time. The sooner he left, the sooner Chi-Chi would be safe. Who knew how Chi-Chi was right now? Boss, you're done? Feng Shipian, Li Siba, Gu Xian, and Qikuan had been protecting Lin Yi as he healed. Qikuan asked quickly when he saw Lin Yi open his eyes. I'm good, did someone come? Lin Yi asked. Yes, 2 practitioners came here to seek refuge, but Feng Shipian chased them away. Qikuan said. They were killed by a spirit beast as soon as they left. Lin Yi nodded. It seemed a bit cruel, but that was how the world of practitioners worked. The strong preyed on the weak, and there was no reason at all. Feng Shipian was afraid that the two would disturb Lin Yi's healing, so it made sense for him to chase them away forcefully. Not taking their herbs was already very kind of him. Although Lin Yi was in the jade space, he had a general idea of what was going on outside. The two didn't have good intentions when they first came in, but after Feng Shipian and Li Siba revealed their sky-class strength, they backed off and didn't dare to do anything rash. Especially after seeing Mo Ba and Master Yang's corpses on the ground, they quickly retreated, thinking that the two were killed by Feng Shipian. Also, while you've been healing, boss, the number of spirit beasts passing through the safe area has increased, as if they're going berserk, Gu Xian said. Is that so? Lin Yi frowned. He didn't know what it meant for a spirit beast to go berserk, but it definitely wasn't a good thing for the participants of the test. Yeah, we don't dare go out anymore, Li Siba said. Zhang Naipao and his men are gone, you guys won't get bullied here, I'm relieved. Lin Yi stood up. Now I'm going to the Five Fiends Mountains, wait for me here. Five Fiends Mountains? Boss, you're going to find Jiang Chi-Chi? Qikuan asked, realizing what Lin Yi was planning. That's right, Lin Yi nodded. The Five Fiends Mountains are very dangerous, I have to go find her. Chapter 2838. I see. Lin Yi felt a little guilty. Although Tian Chan was the one who activated the 5 evils' origin, he was the one who benefited from it in the end. However, he couldn't say this out loud. Otherwise, the dragon of 5 evils would do something even more frightening when it was enraged. Are you done? You can leave now. The dragon of 5 evils obviously didn't want to talk to Lin Yi anymore. After saying this, it lowered its head and didn't look at Lin Yi anymore. Linny smiled bitterly. It seemed that the Dragon of Five Evils didn't talk to him and Tian Chan before because it looked down on them. Now that it talked, it was just strange that he didn't fall to his death and instead climbed up from the bottom of the cliff. By the way, I want to ask you something. After we left, did you see a girl? She was wearing a black leather coat and looked very cool. Linny asked. Do you know her? Are you with her? The Dragon of Five Evils suddenly asked after listening. Yes, did you see her? Linny asked quickly. Oh, do you want to see her? The Dragon of Five Evils asked instead of answering his question. Do you know where she is? Linny asked hesitantly. He felt that the Dragon of Five Evils was up to no good. I know. I will send you to see her. After saying this, the Dragon of Five Evils suddenly moved. Although its body was huge, its speed wasn't slow. It suddenly rushed out of the cave and grabbed Linny. What do you want? Linny felt something was wrong and asked cautiously. The girl in black that you mentioned asked for the scale on my foot. I didn't give it to her, so she wanted to cut it secretly. She asked me to throw it down the valley. The Five Evils dragon snorted coldly and said, Since you're with her, you can go down again and keep her company. Wait, I can go down myself. There's no need to trouble you, Linny said as his scalp tingled. It's too late. The Five Evils dragon swung its claws a few times and with a swoosh, it threw Linny down the cliff again. Before Skybolt Pig could catch Linny was sent flying. GG! The Skybolt Pig was a little anxious as he watched Linny fly away. He had no choice but to jump off the cliff himself, but he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to jump that far, or he might just fall to his death. However, the Dragon of Five Evils glanced at Skybolt Pig and did not do anything to him. Perhaps because they were of the same species, the Dragon of Five Evils turned around and returned to the cave, ignoring Skybolt Pig. Skybolt Pig hesitated. He wanted to chase after Linny, but there was no point in going. He might as well stay here, and if Lin Yi's friends came looking for him, he'd be able to notify them in time. Linny flew down the cliff, but this time, Linny wasn't injured. He channeled his practitioner's arts, and used his chi to protect himself. Linny was only lightly injured, nothing too serious. After resting for a bit, Linny got up from the ground and started looking for Chi-Chi. The bottom of the cliff was boundless, and it was easy for Lin Yi to spot Chi-Chi's silhouette. That black leather shirt and pants were very recognizable. Chi-Chi was lying on the ground not far away, not moving at all. He didn't know how she was doing. Linny was startled, and quickly ran over to check Chi-Chi's breath. She was still breathing, but it was very weak. Linny let out a breath of relief. As long as Chi-Chi wasn't dead, there was still hope. Linny didn't just focus only, he grabbed Chi-Chi's wrist and channeled the second stage of the art of dragon mastery, healing her internal injuries. Chi-Chi's injuries were all caused by the fall. She was a physical practitioner, and didn't have chi to protect her body. Her condition was a little more serious. She was a mystic late-phase peak, but her practitioner's arts weren't focused on protecting her body, but on Qigong. No matter how good her Qigong was, falling from such a high place would leave her half dead. Chi-Chi seemed to have had a very long dream. She was thrown off the cliff by the Five-Wrath Dragon, and she thought that she was done for. When she woke up, she didn't know if she was in heaven or on earth. Ugh! Chi-Chi opened her eyes. It was a familiar face, surprising her. Linny? You're dead too? Linny was a little speechless. I'm not dead. Not dead? Then why do I see you? Chi-Chi was still a little confused. Because you're not dead either, Linny said. Chi-Chi froze as she realized that all the pain was gone from her body, as if she was back to normal. She was in an unfamiliar place, probably the bottom of a cliff. Chi-Chi remembered the last thing she saw before she closed her eyes. You're the one who healed my wounds? Eh? My ribs are all healed. Weren't they broken before? Yes. Linny nodded. Then you took off my clothes again? Chi-Chi asked, shocked. I told you, you don't need to take off your clothes to heal. Your memory isn't good, is it? Linny said. But I didn't know you could fix bones. Chi-Chi glared at Lin Yi, a little wronged. Why are you always so mean to me? You were the one who was mean to me first, trying to kill me, right? I was the one who came to save you out of kindness, and you're still causing trouble. Lin Yi shrugged. I'm sorry. Chi-Chi remembered that they were at the bottom of the cliff, and that Lin Yi was here to find her. That meant that he'd gone to the 5 Fiends Mountains as well. Perhaps he'd fought the 5 Wrath Dragon as well? How else would he find her? At that thought, Chi-Chi felt a little apologetic. Yeah, Lin Yi had helped her time and time again. How could she not be grateful? But there was already someone else in her heart, and she couldn't accept anyone else. As a result, Chi-Chi was still upset that Lin Yi had seen her body. It's nothing. Lin Yi smiled. He didn't know why, but Lin Yi ignored Chi-Chi's tsundere attitude time and time again. One apology, and Lin Yi didn't mind Chi-Chi's hostility from before. How did you find this place? Did Zhao Qi and the others tell you? Chi-Chi changed the topic. Chapter 2839. I'm sorry, it's all because of me. I pissed off the dragon, and I dragged you down with me. Chi-Chi said apologetically. Lin Yi had helped her time and time again. How could she not be touched? Now that she thought about it, Chi-Chi felt guilty. Lin Yi didn't owe her anything, so why was he helping her again and again? It's nothing. Even if it didn't throw me down, I'd jump down myself to find you, Lin Yi said. Our team came together. We couldn't just leave you here alone, could we? Right. How's John Naipeo? Chi-Chi asked. He got revenge for you. Lin Yi didn't go into specifics, but Chi-Chi should be able to understand. As expected, Chi-Chi's mouth opened in shock. Lin Yi's strength was beyond her expectations, but it made sense. After all, when hadn't Lin Yi crushed his opponents beneath his feet? Yeah. Chi-Chi nodded, but thinking about how she failed to get the scale from the 5 Malefic Dragon, she couldn't help but feel a little down. Little Nine's condition was getting worse. It wasn't that serious before, but it had been getting worse and worse for the past year, and Chi-Chi had been running around looking for medicine and ways to cure Little Nine. Chi-Chi's house was a large assassin organization, but it was only one of the largest in the common world. If it weren't for Little Nine's illness, they'd never have any contact with the training world. But in order to cure Little Nine's illness, Chi-Chi had no choice but to step into an unknown territory. What's wrong? Lin Yi asked, seeing the heavy look on Chi-Chi's face. It's nothing. I didn't get what I wanted from the test. Chi-Chi sighed. You want to go ask the dragon for its scale? Lin Yi asked, a little moved. Yeah, I wanted to talk to it, but it didn't talk to me. I thought it was asleep, so I sneakily went to pluck one off, but it was just pretending to sleep. It grabbed me and threw me off the cliff, Chi-Chi said, a little troubled. Ugh. Lin Yi felt that Chi-Chi's actions were a bit crazy, but Lin Yi hadn't fought the 5 Malefic Dragon himself. Who would have thought that it was that strong? Chi-Chi didn't know how strong the dragon was either. Forget it, I'll think of another way. Chi-Chi sat on the ground, hugging her legs. That was what she said, but anyone could see the helplessness in her eyes. Do you really need the scales of the 5 Evils Dragon? Lin Yi's heart softened as he asked. As long as it's something from the dragon's claw, it doesn't have to be a scale. Wouldn't it be even more pissed off if we cut off a piece of meat? Chi-Chi said. If it's something else from the dragon's claw, then what about this? Lin Yi took out the nail he'd collected from the 5 Malefic Dragon and showed it to Chi-Chi. This is... Chi-Chi blinked. This is a nail from the 5 Malefic Dragon. I fought it before, and it used its nail to stab a friend of mine, but the nail broke, so I kept it. Lin Yi said. Ah? Chi-Chi was pleasantly surprised. She didn't think that the nail would be in Lin Yi's hands. Did this mean that this trip wasn't a waste? Chi-Chi wanted to take the nail from Lin Yi, but then remembered how precious it was. She couldn't just take something from Lin Yi for free. I don't have anything to trade with you. You'll trade yourself then, Lin Yi said seriously, holding back his laughter. Chi-Chi paused, not expecting a condition like this from Lin Yi. She didn't know what to do. Can't you change the condition? I can pay on credit. Where would I find you if you ran away? Linny said. Chi-Chi went silent. That was right, where would Linny go to find her if she ran? Most importantly, Chi-Chi really did want that nail from Lin Yi's hand. With that, Lil Gio's illness could be cured. Haha, I'm just messing with you. Linny put the nail in Chi-Chi's hand, smiling. Take it, it's a gift to you. Don't always think so badly of people. Chi-Chi took the nail from Lin Yi's hand, unable to hold back the tears that started falling down her cheeks. Why were you crying again? Wasn't I just joking? Linny didn't know what to say as he looked at Chi-Chi's tear-stained face. No. Chi-Chi shook her head. Linny, you're a good person. I won't kill you. But there's someone else in my heart already. I'll repay you in other ways. Is this a good person card? Linny smiled, not caring. But a good person card is a good person card. Thank you. Chi-Chi smiled through her tears. How do I use this? Linny couldn't imagine how the nail could be used to cure a disease. Do I just eat it? I don't know. I asked around for a long time and looked through a lot of ancient books before I found out about the use of the claw. Chi-Chi said. How do you use it? You eat it, I guess? All right, pretend I didn't ask. Linny said. Let's get ready and go back to safety. Zhao Qikun and the others are probably getting impatient. All right. But how are we going to get up? Chi-Chi looked up and saw how high the cliff was. The height gave her a fright. There was no way they could jump up. I've come down once with someone before, and there are climbing marks on the cliff over there. We just need to follow the marks and jump up, Linny said, pointing in a direction not far away. That's good. Chi-Chi breathed out in relief. She really wouldn't know how to get up there otherwise. She was just good at Qingdong, but no matter how good she was, she couldn't jump that high. Linny brought Chi-Chi to the place where he and Tian Chan had jumped. Linny decided to give it a try, and so he jumped towards the first spot Tian Chan made. Chapter 2840. At first, Linny didn't think about whether or not he could climb back up when he went down to save Chi-Chi. He thought that with the marks left behind by Tian Chan, he would be able to climb up easily. But now, Linny realized that he was wrong. He neglected the most important point, the difference in strength between him and Tian Chan. Lin Yi's running speed was about the same as a sky class, but that didn't mean that his strength was the same. The height that a sky class could jump wasn't something that Lin Yi could reach with his current strength. Chi-Chi paused as she watched Lin Yi jump up and down, noticing the problem as well. She saw the marks left behind by Tian Chan, but the height wasn't something Chi-Chi could reach. She knew her Qingdong very well. There was no way she could reach that height. Lin Yi's failure made Chi-Chi's face change. The marks are too high. I can't jump up. I can't jump up either. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. That jump had pretty much used up all of Lin Yi's energy, but he still couldn't reach Tian Chan's height. There was no way to make up for the difference in strength. Even if Lin Yi used all of his qi, he still wouldn't be able to beat Tian Chan. And from the looks of it, not only could Tian Chan jump that high, but she still had enough energy to use techniques to hit the cliffs. Lin Yi, on the other hand, had used up all of his energy just jumping, let alone hitting the cliffs. Plus, with Lin Yi's current strength, he probably wouldn't be able to do any damage to the cliffs. Tian Chan had used her sky class late phase peak strength, but she'd only left a few shallow marks on the cliffs. Ah? Then we... Chi-Chi's eyes went wide at Lin Yi's words. We can't go up. I can't go up anymore. Lin Yi nodded. Previously, he had been anxious to save people and had neglected these problems. Now that he had thought of it, it was too late. Unless another master on the level of Tian Chan came down to rescue them, Lin Yi was really helpless. Then how did you guys get up there? Chi-Chi asked curiously. Before, my friend was a sky class late phase peak. Lin Yi told Chi-Chi about how he went up with Tian Chan and how he helped Tian Chan replenish her stamina. Chi-Chi knew more than enough about him anyways, and Lin Yi didn't need to hide anything. Ah, I see. Then, is there no other way? Chi-Chi frowned. No. With that, Linny told Chi-Chi about what he and Tian-chan had discussed before. Linny had been trapped once before, so there was no point in looking for another way out. We can't get out. How can we? Chi-Chi couldn't accept this at all. She'd finally found the claw of the 5 malefic dragon, and she wanted to give it to little Nine as soon as possible. She didn't expect to be trapped here. That's the truth, Linny said helplessly, but there was nothing he could do. We wouldn't be using this stupid method if there was another way out, then. What about that Sky-class late-phase peak friend of yours? Would she find out that you didn't go back and come looking for you? Chi-Chi asked hopefully. That friend of mine is just a chance acquaintance, a temporary companion. She left after going up here, there's no way she'd come back. Linny shook his head. Linny was actually panicking as well, but judging from Chi-Chi's expression, she'd probably go crazy if Linny kept panicking. As a result, Linny tried his best to look calm, but Linny was actually panicking as well. But Lin Yi's hopes were on Skybolt Pig. The pig didn't come down with him. If he waited for a while and realized that he wasn't going up, would he go tell Feng Shipian and the others? But if it was just Li Siba and Feng Shipian, Lin Yi couldn't guarantee that they'd be able to make it up. Who knew if they were all stuck here? Lin Yi had thought about getting Li Siba to hit the cliff, but he was only a Sky-class mid-phase, and while he was a physical practitioner, Lin Yi couldn't help him recover his chi. Even if Lin Yi brought him up, he'd probably give up halfway. Of course, he could let Li Siba recover on his own, and Lin Yi would bring him up after he'd recovered. That way, they'd be able to reach the next level, but the drawback was obvious as well. There was a time limit to the test, and after 20 days, the 5's malice chi would invade the body. Lin Yi was fine, but Li Siba and the others weren't. They'd probably go mad from the 5's malice chi invading their bodies before they even reached the halfway point. So, this method wouldn't work. Lin Yi was conflicted. He didn't know what choice Skybolt Pig would make. Then, why did you come to save me? Doesn't that mean you're stuck here with me? Yang Chi-Chi looked at Lin Yi, touched and sympathetic. She didn't know what to say. Lin Yi had helped her and taken care of her, and that was something she'd seen with her own eyes. She just didn't know how to repay him. Ha! Lin Yi smiled and didn't say anything else. Lin Yi could tell from the unique mark on Chi-Chi's ring that she came from the place he trained at when he was young, and since she was close to the 9th princess, she must be a core disciple there. But Lin Yi was still young back then, and his memories were still stuck in his childhood. He didn't even remember Yang Xiaoxiao and the 9th princess, let alone this girl. Lin Yi's memories were a little hazy, and even if he did remember, he probably wouldn't have much of an impression. Yang Xiaoxiao was his Shifu's daughter, and the 9th princess was his adopted daughter. The two were Lin Yi's companions when he was young. Ever since then, his Shifu had instilled in him that as a captain, he couldn't give up on any of the team members. He had to have teamwork and teamwork. This was one of the reasons why Lin Yi came looking for Yang Chi-Chi. Lin Yi felt a little emotional at the thought of Yang Xiaoxiao and the 9th princess. It had been so many years since he'd gone back, it was about time. From the princess' tone, Lin Yi could tell that she wasn't happy that he hadn't been back for so many years. Chapter 2841. But now, he had finally settled down. There were still dangers in life, but it was different from before. Lin Yi had a goal now, and he had a sense of existence. This was the first time Lin Yi had looked at the 9th princess after looking at Yuning. I've said it before, you're a member of my team. I won't give up on any team member, Lin Yi said. Chi-Chi felt that this sentence was familiar, but she couldn't remember where she had heard it. She only thanked Lin Yi silently. She decided that if they could leave this place successfully, she would do everything she could to help Lin Yi find out what Lin Yi needed in Europe. Don't worry, there's always a way. Let's eat something first. You're hungry, right? Lin Yi asked. Yeah. A little. Chi-Chi rubbed her stomach. She was worried that she wouldn't be able to leave this place, but now that Lin Yi mentioned it, she really was hungry. Then wait for me here. I'll go catch some fish from the lake over there. Lin Yi said as he stood up and walked towards the lake the pig pointed him to. Chi-Chi looked at Lin Yi's back as he left, her heart filled with complicated emotions. She felt guilty as well. She treated Lin Yi badly, and she'd been biting the hand that fed her. But Lin Yi didn't mind, and helped her every time she was in danger. Chi-Chi wasn't someone with a heart of stone, so how could she not be touched? Naturally, Lin Yi didn't know that Chi-Chi's opinion of him had changed. He caught 4 or 5 fish in the lake and quickly went back to where he'd come from. He prepared the fish quickly and skillfully before putting them in a clean place and starting to roast them. "All right, eat." Lin Yi gave most of the fish to Chi-Chi, but only took one for himself. Why are you only eating one?" Chi-Chi asked, a little embarrassed to eat it alone. "I'm a spiritual practitioner. I'll be fine after a while." "You're a physical practitioner. Your recovery is slower," Lin Yi said. "Then, I won't hold back." Chi-Chi nodded. The difference between spiritual and physical practitioners was that spiritual practitioners could absorb the qi in the air and turn it into their own qi for their own use. Physical practitioners, on the other hand, had to train their body to achieve their goal. Although physical experts could also use the surrounding spiritual qi for their own use after practicing martial arts, their recovery speed was still a notch lower than that of internal cultivators. Physical practitioners, on the other hand, consumed their physical strength slowly, because martial arts used the qi around them instead of using their own qi. There were pros and cons to each. However, if the physical practitioner did not use martial arts, then Zhang Naipeo's thorn arts would lose its effect. Zhang Naipeo's thorn arts could bounce 80% of the qi back to 240%. If the physical practitioner did not use martial arts, and only used his strong body to hit Zhang Naipeo, there would be no rebound. However, not to mention that the masters of the Holy Fist Palace did not know about this situation. Even if they knew, they would not cause too much damage to Zhang Naipeo with the strength of their bodies. After all, physical masters also relied on martial arts to win. This was why physical practitioners were no match for spiritual practitioners at a low level. On the contrary, when they were at a high level, they would usually be stronger than spiritual practitioners of the same level. This was also because when external experts activated their martial skills, they mobilized the true energy around their bodies, unlike internal experts who emitted it from their bodies. The higher the level of external experts, the more spiritual energy they could mobilize, and naturally, the more powerful they would be. Yan Chi-Chi had a good meal of grilled fish. She sat on the ground in a daze, looking at the cliff. The sky was getting dark, but Yang Chi-Chi didn't feel sleepy. She was trapped here, and she didn't know when she could get out. "Lin Yi say, if we can't think of a way to get out when the time is up, will the 5 evils qi invade our bodies and cause us to go crazy?" Yang Chi-Chi asked worriedly. "I don't think so. I'll walk around tomorrow and see if there's a way out," Lin Yi said. "Okay." Yang Chi-Chi nodded. She didn't know why she trusted Lin Yi more and more after experiencing so many things with him. Lin Yi's words made her feel at ease. The next morning, at dawn, Lin Yi set off to find a way out. However, Lin Yi couldn't find a good way after walking around for a long time. It seemed that Tian Chan knew this place very well. If she said there was no way, then there was no way. Since Tian Chan could accept the inheritance here, she must know more about the 5 Evils Mountain than him. So, Lin Yi gave up when he couldn't find a way. He turned to the direction of the lake and continued to catch fish. After catching a few fish, Lin Yi returned to the place where he and Yang Chi-Chi were stationed and continued to grill fish. Yang Chi-Chi saw that Lin Yi was back. She couldn't just sit back and enjoy the fruits of his labor, so she asked, "What can I do for you? Do you want me to clean these fish?" "It's fine, I'm used to it. Just wait." Lin Yi shook his head and started cleaning the fish like he was used to. Yanjing City. A pack of cigarettes was quickly finished by Tianli. He tried his best to reduce the amount of cigarettes he smoked, but it didn't take long before there was only 1 pack left. Tianli picked up his phone and was about to call Mr. Lang when his phone rang. What surprised him was that it was Mr. Lang. "Mr. Lang, I was just about to call you." Tianli smiled as he picked up the phone. Mr. Lu, are you panicking? You gave me the money, scared that I'd run away? Xiao Chun smiled brightly. Haha, how could that be? Mr. Lang and I have a strategic partnership. Our medicine business is a couple $100 million a year. Why would Mr. Lang care about $30 million? Tianli really didn't think that Mr. Lang would lie to him. On one hand, it was the hypnotist's work, and on the other, the two companies had a couple $100 million a year. Mr. Lang wouldn't care about this small amount of money. I'm just joking, Mr. Lu. I have good news for you, Xiao Chun said, changing the topic. Oh? What good news? Do you have more cigarettes? Tianli paused and asked. We do have cigarettes, but they're all booked the moment the goods arrived. Mr. Lu, I think you should hold it in for a while. We should focus on making money first, Xiao Chun said. Chapter 2852, Closing the Net. Ah? All booked? None left? Tianli said, shocked. Mr. Lang, I can't do that. You have to at least leave some for me. I'd rather make less money than keep some for myself. But the profit is very high. The price of a carton of cigarettes is about 10,000 yuan. I can sell it for more than 20,000 yuan. This batch of goods has a total of 2,000 cartons. Once I sell it, I can make a profit of 200%, Xiao Chun said. We invested 30 million, including the money we used to bribe the gangsters when we smuggled them in. That's 50 million worth of profit. That won't make much of a difference. Leave me 10, no, 20. Tianli thought that the cigarettes would be expensive, but it didn't seem that expensive. He let out a sigh of relief and asked for more. 20? I'll try my best then. 10 should be fine, 20 depends on the situation. Xiao Chun hesitated for a moment and said, By the way, Mr. Lu, let's split the money we earned, about 13 million yuan each. Shall I transfer it to your company's account? Oh? Just this one deal? You won't do it again? Tianli paused. The profits moved him quite a bit. He was a conservative person, and he could keep his business, but starting a business was a bit difficult. Naturally, he didn't want to let go of this opportunity. Plus, these cigarettes had become his daily necessities. If he didn't have these cigarettes, he couldn't imagine how he would be able to endure it. So, subconsciously, Tianli hoped that this deal would continue. It's too much money to bribe the gangsters once. This time, I'll use my connections. Next time, they'll probably have to pay 20 to 30 million before they're willing to help us smuggle boats. That way, there won't be much profit. I'm thinking about doing it again, Mr. Lang said, playing hard to get. Our capital is limited, after all. There's no point in doing it again. Is that so? Tianli didn't understand the details of smuggling. He had always been doing proper business, and even when he was importing, it was through the official customs channel. He had never asked a gangster to smuggle a boat. So when Mr. Lang said that, he believed him. But Tianli wasn't too satisfied. Then should we increase the amount of stock each time? Should we talk to those gangsters again? It's not impossible, but I'm afraid that it'll take up too much of Mr. Lu's capital, and I'm also afraid that Mr. Lu will think that this isn't a proper business, Mr. Lang said. The capital can be research, but this business, this huge profit isn't something I'm interested in. How is that possible? Tianli said. Mr. Lang, where are you? I'll come find you, and we can talk about it. I'm at the hotel. Let me bring Lil Chui to your company, and I'll bring you the cigarettes on the way, Xiao Chun said. All right, I'll wait for you at my company, Mr. Lang, Tianli quickly said. Half an hour later, Xiao Chun and the hypnotist appeared at Tianli's company, and Tianli naturally welcomed them warmly in the guest room. Mr. Lang, you're the best, bringing in such a huge profit in just a few days. Tianli wasn't someone who hadn't seen a lot of money before. But to be able to earn so much in just a few days, this speed was not to be underestimated. Haha, it's nothing. If it weren't for Mr. Lu's support, I wouldn't be able to earn this much. Xiao Chun waved his hand with a smile. But it's not impossible for us to continue investing. Yes, Mr. Liu, the more you invest, the greater the return. For example, Mr. Liu, if you invest a few $100 million, the return will be even greater. Chui Mianshi seized the opportunity. That's right, then let's invest $500 million. Let's hope we can earn more. Tianli didn't know what was going on, but he suddenly felt a strong urge to invest. He didn't even think about it. That works too. Then let's sign another contract and continue this business, Xiaochun said. All right, no problem. I'll start raising the money in the next 2 days. Tianli's company didn't earn much after becoming the agent of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company, but the cash flow was still very strong. When Lin Yi treated Jinhu, it was a bit hard for House Lu to gather 100 million, but now 500 million wasn't a problem at all. Although most of it was from Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company, they could still use it once in a while. After all, Lin Yi trusted House Lu a lot. He never checked the accounts before, so Tianli still had a lot of room to maneuver. The contract is still the same as last time, just changing the numbers, Chui Mianshi said as he took out a contract from his bag and passed it to Tianli. Tianli nodded and looked at the contract. It was the same as last time, but the investment amount wasn't confirmed yet. No problem, I'll sign it now and help you raise the money. Tianli nodded and looked at the contract briefly. Since they had worked together many times, Tianli didn't suspect anything and signed the contract right away. In the next few days, Tianli started to raise money for Xiaochun. He used the money from the company to buy the medicine from Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company and some of the money from the customers, and transferred it to Mr. Lang's account. With cigarettes, Tianli's life in the future would be very comfortable. He would smoke every day, fantasizing that the 500 million would turn into 1 billion. Who would doubt his ability to expand if that happened? However, in less than 2 days, Xiaochun called him again. Mr. Liu, it's me, Xiaochun said. Mr. Lang, what's up? How's the organization of our goods? Tianli asked. The goods are pretty much organized, but there's something else I want to discuss with you. We're going to do it. How about a big one? Xiaochun asked. A big one? What do you mean? How did you make it big? Tianli paused. How about this, I'll go with Lil Chui, and we'll talk about it at your company, Xiaochun said. All right, I'll wait for Mr. Lang's arrival at the company, Tianli said quickly. Chapter 2842. Mr. Lang, what's the plan? Tianli asked. I'll let Chui explain it to you. Xiaochun gestured to Chui Mianshi. Today was the day to pull in the net, so for safety's sake, Xiaochun was going to let Chui Mianshi explain. Although Chui Mianshi had been giving Tianli psychological hints all this time, and with Xiaochun and Tianli building a good relationship with each other with cigarettes, there weren't any flaws that could be exploited. It's like this. Today is the harvest season for that small country, so the price of cigarettes has dropped quite a bit recently. It's around 8,000 yuan per carton. If we use this opportunity to get a lot of them back, even if we can't sell them all at once, we can sell them for a month or so and slowly sell them, and we'll be able to earn more. As Chui Mianshi spoke, he told Tianli the words he had prepared beforehand. Of course, he didn't even need to say much, as he had already used the hypnosis on Tianli's body when he spoke. So you're saying that as long as we invest more money, we can earn more money? Tianli understood what Chui Mianshi meant. That's right. What do you think, Mr. Liu? Our Mr. Lang thinks that it's better to be more stable. Although we can earn more money now, it'll take up a lot of funds. Don't these funds have interest in the bank? Chui Mianshi said this intentionally, but he used hypnosis to hint to Tianli that taking up funds wasn't a problem as long as they could earn money. I'm familiar with Miracle Dr. Guan's company, so it's fine to transfer the funds to them later. It's fine to hold the funds for a month or so. It's just that it's a little difficult to gather more funds, so I'll have to wait for the goods to be delivered by Miracle Dr. Guan's company this month. I'll sell them in bulk and wait for the agents and distributors to pay me back. It'll take a few days. Tianli wouldn't be so blind if he was doing other business, but he had smoked this cigarette before. He knew how good it was, and there were many rich people like him who felt the same way. Plus, with Chui Mianchu's hypnosis, there was only one thought in his mind, and that was how to raise money. He didn't even think about doubting anything. All right, just do as you see fit, Mr. Liu. It'll be great if this business is done, but don't burden Mr. Liu's company. There's no end to the money, and there'll be opportunities in the future, Xiaochun said, pretending to be generous. Haha, Mr. Lang, money is definitely not a problem. Since I've agreed, naturally I can get it. Since there's this chance, let's make it big. I'll go prepare now. Tianli didn't say much, rushing to get the money. All right, then I won't bother you anymore. If there's any good news, please share it with me. Xiao Chun also stood up. Then I'll leave now. Please continue with your work, Mr. Liu. With his status as the main supplier of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company, funds weren't much of a problem for Tianli. As long as he pressed on both sides, he would be able to raise $1 billion. And so, after sending Miao Lang and Chui Mianchu off, Tianli lit a cigarette and started thinking about how to use the company's funds. Today was the 15th day of the Sky Elixir Sex test. Only a small number of participants returned to the mountain behind the sect, while most of them stayed here forever. In the Five Evils Savage Land, the corpses of cultivators could be seen at regular intervals. They were all cultivators killed by spirit beasts. Zhao Qikun, Feng Shipian, Li Siba, and Gu Xian were all worried. Today was the day they were supposed to leave the 5 fiendish barons, but Lin Yi wasn't back yet. There were still 5 days left, but there was no news for so many days, and there might not be news in the next 5 days. Boss isn't back yet, what should we do? Feng Shipian looked at Zhao Qikun. He was the first one to follow Lin Yi, and he knew Lin Yi's personality the best. So when Feng Shipian asked, Li Siba and Gu Xian looked at Zhao Qikun as well. Let's wait another 2 days. If boss isn't back in 2 days, we'll go to the teleportation formation and leave this place first, Zhao Qikun said after some hesitation. He knew Lin Yi's personality very well. If Lin Yi was in trouble, then they'd be a burden to Lin Yi if they stayed here. Plus, there was 5 fiendish qi in the 5 fiendish barons. After 15 days, the qi would invade the practitioner's body, and once it reached 20 days, it would exceed the endurance of a normal practitioner. If they didn't leave soon, the qi would cause them to lose consciousness, or even go crazy. And so, there was no point in waiting here. If they were infected by the 5 fiendish qi, then Lin Yi would have to think of a way to save them. So, they might as well leave first. That's not good, is it? Without boss, we'd be in danger. We might even die here. Li Siba respected Lin Yi the most. Lin Yi had avenged his sect members. If it weren't for Lin Yi being his boss, Li Siba would have seen Naipeo as an enemy. He was different from other people. Even if Naipeo didn't kill him, he wouldn't let him stay in a safe place. Siba, you've misunderstood me. Boss means what he says. If we keep waiting here, the qi will invade our bodies, and it'll be even more troublesome for him to save us. Boss is strong, and if he can't handle it, then we can't either. Boss told us to leave when the test ends, and that's today. We'll wait for 2 more days. If boss doesn't come back by then we'll leave first. Qikun explained. All right. Feng Shipian understood what Qikun meant. He nodded and said to Siba, Brother Qikun is right. Boss is strong, and we won't be of much help here. We might drag him down instead. Chapter 2843. I've observed it for a while. Spirit beasts are less active at night. If I'm not wrong, the 5 evils qi is more concentrated here at night, which is good for spirit beasts to cultivate. Therefore, they rarely move around at night. Even if they see human cultivators, as long as they don't provoke them, there shouldn't be a problem. Gu Xian was an observant. It was impossible to sell information in the ancient world without good observations. He would notice a lot of things that others wouldn't. He'd been observing the spirit beast's movements for the past few days, and he'd come up with this pattern. But it's not like this for the entire night. It's just that between 2 to 4 in the morning, there's no spirit beast in front of the safe area. Oh? Is that so? Feng Shipian was overjoyed. Gu Xian, you're really well informed. You've even noticed this pattern? Normal practitioners wouldn't be able to notice the pattern of the spirit beast's movements under such a stressful situation. Even the Sky Elixir sect didn't know. After all, no one could predict the pattern of the spirit beast's movements. Before the spirit beasts went berserk, there was no pattern to their action. They train when they wanted, rest when they wanted, attack when they wanted. But now, it was different. They'd go berserk every day to search for practitioners. But they couldn't go berserk for 24 hours. They had to rest and train, and this time was between 2 to 4 in the morning, as Gu Xian had discovered. I'm ashamed, I only confirmed it last night after all. I wasn't sure about my guess before. Gu Xian spread her hands and said, with our speed, we should be able to reach the teleportation array in 2 hours. After all, this place is not far from the teleportation array, so we don't need to leave 3 days in advance. We can leave 2 days in advance and wait for another day. All right, we'll wait 3 days then. Qi-kun nodded. Let's confirm the pattern again. Below the cliffs of the Five Fiends mountain range, Linny had been fishing and grilling for Chi-Chi these days. He'd given up on finding a way out. Chi-Chi, on the other hand, was getting quieter and quieter, especially as the end of the test drew nearer. Linny, today's the 15th day of the test. Do you think we can't get out? Chi-Chi took the fish from Linny and put it into her mouth mechanically. Even if we can't get out, isn't it good to live here? Linny explained with a smile. In fact, Linny was also very anxious, but there was no use in being anxious when there was no other way. Haha, don't try to comfort me. We'll all die if we stay here for more than 20 days. Chi-Chi smiled bitterly. I don't have much experience in society. And I'm a little dumb, but I know that the rules are real. Linny smiled. I don't have much experience in society, and I'm a little dumb, but I know that the rules are real. Linny's heart sank as well. The Five Fiends Chi wasn't a problem for Linny, but it wasn't for Chi-Chi. Without a choice, Linny entered the Jade Space. Oh, I say, Senior Ghost, do you have any good ideas for me to get out of here? Linny got straight to the point. The thing stayed in the corner, not answering Linny. I know you're still awake. Answer me now, or you won't be able to train if I die here. This Jade Space is bound to me, and if I die, the Jade Space might disappear. Linny threatened. You won't die. The Five Fiends Chi here isn't harmful to you. In fact, it's useful. The Five Fiends Chi isn't as pure as the energy in the Jade Space, but you can still use it for training. The thing finally spoke. Can't you just disturb me? It's very hard for me to go into hibernation. That's not for sure. What if the Five Fiends Chi enters my body? There are always accidents, and even if there aren't any accidents, there's no point in me living here alone. I might even kill myself. Linny threatened. Oh, if you really don't want to live, I can't do anything about it. Then I'll leave the space of the Jade Pendant. I've said it before, although the Five Evils Chi here is not as pure as in your space, I can still cultivate. The ghostly thing said unhurriedly. Think carefully before you die. Okay, I'm begging you. Is there any way for me to get out? Linny saw that his threats didn't work, so he could only coax and pester it. There's really no way. The thing shook its head. How about you call a flying spirit beast, and I'll communicate with it to see if it can take you up. Linny was speechless. Where can I call it? There's no spirit beast around here? Then there's nothing I can do. I'll continue to go into hibernation. Don't disturb me if there's nothing important. The thing said to Linny and disappeared. Jiao Lao. Linny looked at Jiao Yazi. There's nothing I can do, but you should practice more. When you become a Heavenly Path Master, maybe my memory will recover, and I can call a flying saucer. Maybe then I can take you up. Jiao Yazi said. Heavenly Path, flying saucer. Lin Yi's face was dark as he returned to reality. What are you doing? Chi-Chi had been bored out of her mind these past couple of days. She looked at Linny sitting there like an idiot. Are you practicing? No. Linny shook his head. I'm trying to think of a way to get out. Then have you thought of a way? Chi-Chi asked. Not yet. Lin shook his head and handed the fish to Chi-Chi. Here, the last one. It's done. Eat it. Oh. Chi-Chi took the fish and started eating. After that, she sat on the ground and looked around, not knowing what to do. Suddenly, she saw the bones she'd eaten before and started arranging them on the ground. Everyone knew how to eat fish, but it really took a lot of effort to arrange all the fish bones in order after eating the fish. The big bones in the middle were easy, as long as they were not damaged, they could be placed there directly. However, the bones on the back and belly of the fish were small and messy, so it was much more difficult to arrange them in order. Chapter 2844. Lin paused as he watched Chi-Chi arrange the bones. He fell into his memories. Back when he was young, his Shifu had given him a question like this to train his memory and observation skills. After eating the fish, they'd have to put the bones back, and it was a test every year. But all of this was etched into the depths of Lin Yi's memories that would last forever. His master had left, and Lin Yi didn't know where he went. Lin Yi didn't go back to the fish bones either, because he didn't need to train his memory and observation skills like this anymore, and also because he was slowly stepping onto the path of a practitioner, leaving behind his days as an assassin. Looking at all of this, Lin Yi was filled with emotions as he stared at Chi-Chi. As if he was back in his childhood, Lin Yi wasn't surprised that Chi-Chi knew how to put the bones back together. Chi-Chi came from that assassin organization after all, and this kind of training should be common. It was just that Chi-Chi was a little rusty, and it seemed like she hadn't done it in years. Chi-Chi focused on putting the bones back together, and it wasn't just Lin Yi. Chi-Chi felt like she was back in her childhood as well. People would always reminisce when they were in despair. It was normal, and Chi-Chi was the same. Before she knew it, half an hour had passed. In the past, Chi-Chi only needed a few minutes to put a set of bones together, but it was different. Sometimes she needed half a day to think about it. Chi-Chi picked up a bone, put it back down, and picked it up again. She wasn't sure what to do. This was a similar bone. There was a fish's back and belly, and the length and thickness were about the same. Chi-Chi frowned and started thinking. After a while, Chi-Chi finally put her hand down and put the bone back on the belly. This is the bone on the fish's back. I've told you the difference so many times, how come you don't remember? Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he watched Chi-Chi's actions, but something wasn't right. The person in front of him was Yang Chi-Chi, not his childhood playmate and team member, Yang Xiao. Once upon a time, his Shifu's daughter, Yang Xiao, would always get this bone wrong, and so Lin Yi would always correct her, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Ah? Chi-Chi paused, her eyes blurry as she raised her head. It was only then that she realized it was Lin Yi. At that moment, she even thought that Lin Yi was that person. What did you just say? Nothing. I said you spelled it wrong. This fish bone should be placed here, Lin Yi said as he pointed at the back of the fish. How did you know? Chi-Chi was a little puzzled, but she was lost in her memories and didn't hear what Lin Yi was saying. Or maybe she was hallucinating? I've done it before, Lin Yi said. Oh. Thanks. Chi-Chi put the bone back on the back of the fish. I didn't think that you'd do something so boring. Boring, huh? Lin Yi was considering if he should tell her that he was from that assassin organization as well. He and Chi-Chi weren't that close before, but after so many encounters, they'd been through thick and thin together. Lin Yi wasn't worried about Chi-Chi's character at all. This girl might be a bit of a bitch, but she wasn't a blabbermouth. Plus, Lin Yi was planning on going to the island where he trained after this test was over. He wanted to see Xiao Qi, Yang Xiao, and Xiao Jiu, 9th princess. But Lin Yi wasn't sure if he'd be able to get out of this test, and he was a little troubled. He wasn't in the mood to talk about these things right now. Fish bones can train one's memory and observation skills. Eh? You've been an assassin before? Chi-Chi paused. Every practitioner is an assassin in the world of practitioners. Today's friend is tomorrow's enemy. If you don't have sharp instincts, you won't even know how you died. Linny smiled. Just like sometimes, when you're kind enough to save someone, that person turns around and tries to kill you. You. Linny, stop saying stuff like that. I told you I wouldn't kill you. Chi-Chi's face was red, embarrassed. I was just giving an example. I wasn't talking about you. Linny said innocently. That's not what I said. Chi-Chi denied. Ha. Linny laughed. What are you laughing at? Chi-Chi asked. Nothing, I think you look like a friend of mine. Linny was telling the truth in that moment. Linny had a feeling that Chi-Chi was his childhood playmate, Yang Xiao. It was just a feeling. After all, it had been so many years Linny couldn't remember what Xiao looked like anymore. The Xiao now was probably training hard, preparing to inherit her father's position as the king of assassins. There was no way she'd risk her life to enter the world of practitioners for some test. The two shared the same surname, but this generation of disciples were mostly orphans. They all took on their master's surname. It wasn't strange at all. What a lame excuse. Chi-Chi rolled her eyes at Linny. How's this pick up? I know you from the start, all right? Linny was a little speechless. I'm just telling the truth. You don't think I'm going after you, do you? That's hard to say, there's only the two of us here. If we really can't get out, who would you go after if not me? There aren't even any spirit beasts here. Chi-Chi was joking. After all, this place was too boring, and she'd accepted Linny in her heart. Her hostility towards Linny was gone. Haha, if we really can't get out, I'll think about it. Linny said. No, I already have a prince on a white horse in my heart. I'd rather die than submit. Chi-Chi said. Then haven't you heard of forcing yourself on someone? Linny asked. If you're not afraid that I'll kill you, do what you want. Chi-Chi said. Haha. Linny chuckled and looked at the sky. It was already nighttime. Let's get some rest, I need to train. Okay. Chi-Chi didn't hesitate and laid down on the ground, getting ready to sleep. She wasn't on guard against Linny at all. With Linny's strength, there was no way she could defend against him if he wanted to. It was just like what Linny said, she could force herself on him. Chapter 28:45. Although on the 16th day, the cultivators who remained in the training ground did not directly fall unconscious or suffer from chi deviation, they all showed varying degrees of weakness and dizziness. These were signs that the 5 evils chi had entered their bodies. They had to leave the 5 evils savage land as soon as possible before the 20th day. After leaving, the 5 evils chi in their bodies would slowly dissipate. Once the 20th day passed, they would fall unconscious or suffer from chi deviation, and the 5 evils chi in their bodies would not automatically dissipate. Chikun and the other 3 were all experiencing these two situations. Chikun and Li Sibu were sky class, so they weren't as bad as this. Chikun had it the worst, followed by Guxian. Chikun, if we really can't do it, let's just leave tonight. I see that your situation is the worst, and I'm afraid that you won't be able to hold on. If something really happens to you, boss will be very worried. Shipian said. Let's hold on for another day. I can still do it, but if boss doesn't come back tomorrow, we'll leave, Chikun said after some hesitation. All right. Shipian nodded. At the bottom of the 5 Malice Mountains, Chi-Chi was experiencing the same thing as well. Her situation was even worse than Chikun's. She was weaker than Chikun in the first place, and while her level was higher, at Mystic Late Phase Peak, her defense was much weaker than Chikun's. Plus, this was the mountain range with the densest chi in the 5 Malice Barrens, or else the 5 Malice Dragon wouldn't be able to rule this place. Linny, it's been 15 days, and today is the 16th. I'm feeling a little dizzy, and I don't have any strength. Did the 5 Malice chi enter my body? Chi-Chi's spirit was clearly a lot weaker. Should be, but don't worry, there's always a way out. Who knows, there might be other ways, Linny said as he stood up. I'll go catch some small fishes for you to replenish your strength. Although Linny didn't ask if Chi-Chi was Yang Xiao, Linny knew that she was here to get medicine for Little Gio, so he was very concerned about her. And Thank you? Chi-Chi smiled, suddenly thinking that it would be nice to have Lin Yi by her side before she died. She thought that Lin Yi was a pervert, but now it seemed that Lin Yi wasn't like that at all. He was a good person. If her heart had not been occupied by another person, perhaps she would have fallen in love with him. At that thought, all the good things about Lin Yi popped up in Chi-Chi's mind. He carried Xiao Xiao to the ice palace for the test, going through all that trouble just to get medicine for his girlfriend. How touching was that? And he had helped her time and time again without asking for anything in return. No wonder that Shuka girl liked him so much. He really had a lot of good points. In the blink of an eye, Lin Yi was back from fishing. He went fishing every day, and Lin Yi was familiar with the routine. He started grilling fish for Chi-Chi as soon as he got back. Thank you? Chi-Chi didn't know how else to express her feelings other than thanking him. She took the fish and started eating. But today, Chi-Chi clearly didn't have the energy she had yesterday. She laid on the side to rest after eating the fish, feeling dizzy. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was eating the fish bones out of boredom. Even if Lin Yi was in a hurry, there was nothing he could do. He wasn't Zhang Naipale, and he couldn't absorb the 5 malice chi from Chi-Chi's body. Chi-Chi wasn't a spiritual practitioner, either, and he couldn't help her refine or expel the 5 malice chi from her body. That damn thing was right. The chi of 5's wrath didn't harm Lin Yi at all. Lin Yi was no different from when he'd first entered the training grounds, full of energy. At the back mountain of the Sky Elixir sect, Zhao Qikuan, Feng Shipian, Li Siba, and Gu Xian successfully made it to the portal according to Gu Xian's deductions. They came back safely, and a Sky Elixir sect disciple came up to check them. You 4, please go to the 8th elder to hand over the medicine and register your name. Kang Mingming looked at the 4, and his heart jumped when he saw Qikuan. Wasn't this Lin Yi's follower? Why was he out, but Lin Yi didn't come out? Could it be that Zhang Naipale killed him? At the thought, Kang Mingming felt refreshed. It seemed that putting his hopes on Zhang Naipale was the right decision. Otherwise, why wouldn't Lin Yi come out? It was already the 17th day of the test, and even Lin Yi's follower had come out. There was no reason for Lin Yi not to come out. But Kang Mingming was puzzled. Why wasn't Zhang Naipale out? Could it be that he died with Lin Yi? But he didn't care about Naipale's life. If he died, then so be it. Feng Shipian, from the ancient house Feng, successfully obtained 1 medicine. Li Siba, from the ancient godly Fist Palace, successfully obtained 1 medicine. Gu Xian, freelancer, successfully obtained 1 medicine. Zhao Qikuan, from the hidden house Zhao, successfully obtained 1 medicine. The first 3 had gotten the medicine and passed the test without a problem, but Zhao Qikuan, a mystic who was hiding his strength, had passed as well. It was a mystery. So far, he was the first person to pass the test with such a low level of strength. But seeing that the 4 came out together, the Sky Elixir sect people weren't too surprised. Originally, the 4 of them only had 2 spiritual herbs, which were obtained from the 2 disciples of the Dark Night Palace. However, along the way, they were lucky enough to see 2 cultivators who had been killed by spirit beasts. On their corpses, they found 2 more spiritual herbs, so each of the 4 of them had 1. After registering, the 4 could go back to the Sky Elixir Inn and wait for the final reward. After the 20 days, the reward would be given out. Although there was a large group of Heavenly Elixir sect disciples standing beside the teleportation array, there was actually a simple palace behind them. This was where the young master of the Heavenly Elixir sect, Sky Silkworm Transformation, was temporarily staying. Even Kang Mingming didn't think that Sky Silkworm would come out personally. After registering the names of Feng Shipian and the others, Zhao Long hurried to Sky Silkworm's palace and knocked carefully. "Young master, it's me, Ming." Chapter 2846. Yes, young sect master. Little Peach quickly opened the door for Kang Mingming. Kang Mingming followed Little Peach into Sky Silkworm Transformation's room. "Little Ming, it's past 4 in the morning. Why are there challengers coming out of the teleportation array?" Sky Silkworm Transformation obviously did not rest. His eyes were bloodshot, and he looked a little haggard. 4 cultivators successfully passed the trial and brought back the trial elixir. Kang Ming quickly took out the record book and handed it to Sky Silkworm Transformation. Young Sect Master, this is the list of those 4 people. Oh, let me see. Sky Silkworm Transformation took the record book from Kang Ming and took a look. After seeing the names on it, his face was a little disappointed. He did not say anything and no one knew what he was thinking. Kang Ming did not dare to make a sound and waited carefully by the side. It's been 18 days. He still hasn't come out. Sky Silkworm Transformation muttered to himself, and returned the record book to Kang Ming. Young Sect Master, what did you say? Who didn't come out? Kang Ming did not hear what Sky Silkworm Transformation said clearly and asked quickly. Nothing. Sky Silkworm Transformation shook his head and said, I'm tired. I need to rest for a while. Little Ming, you can leave first. If anyone comes out, tell me immediately. Yes, Young Sect Master. Kang Ming nodded and smiled. Young Sect Master, are you tired? I'll give you another massage. With that said, Kang Ming was about to grab Sky Silkworm Transformation's shoulders. During this period, he felt that he had become very familiar with Sky Silkworm Transformation. He often massaged Sky Silkworm Transformation, so he did not need to ask for instructions. Although Sky Silkworm Transformation did not seem to be in a good mood today, Kang Ming did not care. Slap! A crisp, ear-piercing sound. Before Kang Ming could touch Sky Silkworm Transformation's shoulders, Sky Silkworm Transformation slapped Kang Ming's face. Kang Ming was shocked. He covered his cheeks with his hands. The teeth inside had been knocked out. Although it was painful, it also made him feel a little inexplicable. He said vaguely with grievance, Young Master, why did you hit Little Ming? Little Peach was also stunned. Wasn't Kang Ming massaging her all this time? Why did he suddenly hit Kang Ming today? What massage? Little Ming, remember your status. Tiankin said angrily. Kang Ming was dumbfounded. What happened? Could it be that the heavenly silkworm transformation lost its memories? Why was it that he could massage in the past, but not today? Not only did he not give her a massage, he even slapped her and said that she was impolite? If he was impolite, why didn't he say so in the past? Why did you only tell me today? Kang Ming was very depressed, but he also understood a principle. Little Peach was right. Being with a king was like being with a tiger. How could he reason with the young master? If he wanted to hit, then hit. Whatever he said, he didn't dare to refute. Yes. Young master, I'm sorry. I was impulsive. Kang Ming covered his cheeks and was about to cry. Forget it, you can leave. Sky Silkworm Transformation also felt that her reaction was too strong. Looking at Kang Ming's aggrieved expression, Sky Silkworm Transformation's heart moved slightly. Could it be that her brother had let him massage her before? Otherwise, with Kang Ming's personality, he wouldn't dare to do such a daring thing. Thinking of this, Sky Silkworm Transformation suddenly felt that she had misunderstood Kang Ming. This guy was really unlucky. However, as the young master of the Heavenly Elixir sect, Sky Silkworm Transformation's dignity was necessary. At this moment, she didn't have the slightest bit of sympathy. She closed her eyes and let Little Peach take Kang Ming away. After Peach left the room, Sky Silkworm Transformation opened her eyes again. What was wrong with her? Why did she care about him so much? Was it because they had fought side by side, and they were friends through thick and thin? Or was it because he was the first man to touch her body? If Lin Yu were here, he'd be able to recognize that Sky Silkworm Transformation was the yellow-clothed girl from the test, Tian Chan. She was Sky Silkworm Transformation's older sister, and a young master of the Heavenly Elixir sect. During the few days she'd been in the test, the position of the young master had been temporarily given to her brother Sky Silkworm Transformation, but from the looks of it, it hadn't been very successful. He'd actually let Kang Ming massage him? Tian Chan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. After she'd passed the test, she changed into sky silkworm transformation again, and moved into the palace. Her goal here was actually to secretly check if Zhang Naipeo had passed the test. Zhang Naipeo was a very important person to the Five Elements sect, and to that plan in the future. That was why Tian Chan had been paying attention to him all this time. But now, Tian Chan seemed to be paying more attention to Lin Yi's news, and Zhang Naipeo's news wasn't that important. If this had been in the past, Tian Chan would have definitely put that plan as her priority. That was her mission, and the mission of the Sky Elixir sect's rise. The Five Elements sect had already promised her that as long as that plan succeeded, all the remaining power of the Five Elements sect would belong to the Sky Elixir sect, and that Sky Elixir sect would become the #1 sect in the world of practitioners. For the dreams of her father and grandpa, Tian Chan had sacrificed herself. But now, Tian Chan suddenly felt that it was all so unreal. But she couldn't escape it. Her life was already going according to that plan, and there was no way to change it. Tian Chan touched her chest, her face slightly reddening. There was a special feeling, and that moment of heartbeat was something that she missed. But from now on, she wouldn't have anything to do with Lin Yi anymore. Even if she did, it would be as the young master of the Sky Elixir sect, and not as Tian Chan. At that time, he and I might already be standing on the opposite side of each other. With that thought, Tian Chan was a little dejected. She, in front of him, would never admit that she was Tian Chan again. She had to be strong. Tian Chan had only appeared in the test, and when she returned to the Sky Elixir sect, she had to be a Sky Silkworm transformation cultivator. She had to shoulder this responsibility. Kang Mingming and Little Peach went out of the courtyard together. Kang Mingming's face was still swollen, but he didn't dare to take the small rejuvenation pill, so he could only bear it. Seeing this, Little Peach felt a little distressed. "Brother Kang, why don't you take a small rejuvenation pill? We have it in the Sky Elixir sect, and you can refine it yourself." "How could I dare to eat the young master's pill?" Kang Mingming smiled bitterly and said, "Little Peach, you're right. The young master's temper is unpredictable. I guess he's in a bad mood today, and I'm unlucky. Yes, Brother Kang, you have to be careful in the future. Otherwise, once you fall out of favor, how can you marry me?" Little Peach was also a little worried. Chapter 2847. NN. Little Peach looked at Kang Mingming with misty eyes. "Big Brother Kang, you're so nice." Kang Mingming didn't dare to stay any longer. He quickly returned to the teleportation array. After all, he was the managing elder here. He chatted with Little Peach for a while and ran back. Tian Chan let her imagination run wild for a while. She didn't expect to hear footsteps at the door of the courtyard. This time, they didn't knock on the door. Instead, they pushed the door open and entered. The door of the courtyard wasn't locked, but ordinary Heavenly Elixir sect disciples and elders didn't dare to push the door open casually. Tian Chan quickly opened her eyes and stood up to greet them. Those who could enter like this must be important people. Sure enough, the people who came were Patriarch Xianjin and Patriarch Xianqin. Tian Chan wasn't unfamiliar with Patriarch Xianjin, but Tian Chan wasn't very familiar with Patriarch Xianqin. At this time, Patriarch Xuanqin's sudden appearance made her heart tighten slightly. Only a few people knew about her relationship with Patriarch Xianjin. This matter had always been hidden from Patriarch Xianjin. Of course, Tian Chan didn't know that when she went to participate in the trial, Patriarch Xianqin had already pointed out to Patriarch Xianjin that he knew that Tian Chan was Patriarch Xianjin's disciple. He also knew about Patriarch Xianjin's connections in Heavenly Elixir sect. Tian Chan and Tian Huan usually listened to Patriarch Xianqin on the surface, but secretly, they still respected Patriarch Xianjin as their master. However, some things could only be hidden. Otherwise, not only would she and her brother Tian Huan be unlucky, but Patriarch Xianjin would also be unlucky. Tian Chan greets Patriarch Xianjin and Patriarch Xianqin. Tian Chan carefully bowed and greeted. "Tian Chan, call them Master and Uncle Master." Patriarch Xianjin waved his hand. He thought that some things were done secretly, but he didn't expect that it couldn't be hidden from Patriarch Xianqin. Therefore, there was no need to hide the master-disciple relationship between him and Tianchan. Yes. Tianchan was shocked. As expected, Patriarch Xianqin knew about it. However, she was the young master of the Heavenly Elixir sect after all. She bowed again calmly and said, "Greetings, master and martial uncle. Don't stand on ceremony." Ancestor Xianqin didn't dwell on this matter anymore and waved his hand. He was currently the temporary leader of the Five Elements sect, so although Tianchan was Ancestor Xuanzhen's disciple, Xuanzhen's words had the most weight. "Sit down. I have already brought the Five Elements sect's ancestral physique test ball. Place your hand on it and check if the inheritance is successful." In Patriarch Xuanzhen's eyes, Tianchan was merely a chess piece. His standard for judging others was whether they were useful to him. If they were useless, he would kick them away. "Yes." Tianchan sat on the floor of the living room as instructed. Patriarch Xianqin took out a box and took out a round bead from it. He placed it in front of Tianchan and said, "It's not your first time taking the test. Try it again." "Yes." Tianchan quickly reached out and placed her hand on the physique test ball. In an instant, 5 lights appeared on the bead. 4 of the lights were particularly bright, but one of the lights was a little dim. The middle of the light was hollow. If Lin Yi was here, he would definitely be very surprised that the Five Elements sect actually had such a bead to test physique. As for Tianchan, she really had 4 real attributes and 1 virtual attribute. What? She actually didn't accept the inheritance of the origin power, and she even has 4 real attributes? Patriarch Xuanzhen's expression suddenly changed, and Tianchan was also shocked at this moment. Her own inheritance of the origin power actually failed. "Tianchan, didn't you say that you've already set up the 5 evils origin power in the 5 evils mountain range in the cave?" Patriarch Xuanzhen's expression was also solemn. He quickly asked, "This time, the preparations were so appropriate, and you also took the bone and marrow cleansing pill. How did you fail?" "Yes, could it be that something else happened when you accepted the inheritance?" Patriarch Xianqin asked. "This?" Tianchan was shocked. She subconsciously thought of Lin Yi, but if she told the truth, she was afraid that even if this matter had nothing to do with Lin Yi, with Patriarch Xuanzhen's personality, he would most likely vent his anger on Lin Yi. Although he couldn't do anything to Lin Yi because of Boss Bai, it was still possible that he would secretly do something bad. "What's wrong? Did something really happen?" Patriarch Xianqin raised his eyebrows and asked. "After I finished the preliminary preparations, I was about to accept the inheritance, but the 5 evils dragon came back." Tianchan hesitated for a moment and said, "What? After you finished the preparations, the 5 evils dragon came back?" Patriarch Xianqin was slightly stunned. He frowned and said, "That shouldn't be. Logically speaking, with so many Earth rank and above cultivators entering the 5 evils savage land at once, the 5 evils dragon would definitely be alarmed, and he would be lured out of the cave. He would then make some arrangements for all the spirit beasts in the 5 evils savage land and give orders to fight against these Earth rank cultivators together. How could the 5 evils dragon return so quickly?" It turned out that this time, the change in the rules of the Heavenly Elixir sect's trial was caused by Patriarch Xianqin of the 5 Elements sect. Everything was to allow Tianchan to smoothly accept the inheritance. The 5 evil savage land was the territory of the spirit beasts. If human cultivators entered, they would naturally be regarded as enemies. However, after thousands of years of testing by the Heavenly Elixir sect, they discovered that cultivators below the Earth rank were the limit that the spirit beasts could accept. Although it was dangerous for cultivators of the yellow rank and the profound rank to enter the 5 evils savage land to take the trial elixir, it was only because they accidentally encountered the spirit beasts. They would not let the spirit beasts chase and attack them. In other words, the spirit beasts in the 5 evils savage land looked down on cultivators of this level. Although they did not welcome their arrival, they would not mobilize a large force to chase and kill them. However, once the cultivators who entered the 5 evils savage land were above the Earth rank, then these cultivators would be regarded as invaders. The 5 Evils dragon would then be lured out to give orders to all the spirit beasts in the 5 Evils savage land to kill these cultivators together to protect their territory from the invasion of human cultivators. This time, in order to lure the 5 Evils dragon out of the cave to give orders, Patriarch Xianxin did not hesitate to sacrifice the lives of so many cultivators above the earth rank. It was enough to show that he was a cruel and merciless person. It was not an exaggeration to have a vicious daughter like Little 11. Even his daughter was not as vicious as him. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.